trying to force down your throat how wrong you are is how you radicalize people. So they could be in the process of auto-radicalization. That's why we changed up the way we do this room, right? We spent years just telling people, look, the facts are you're wrong. And that's not how you reach anybody. In fact, it's how you make things worse. Instead, the only way to de-radicalize people is to help show them the way that the radicalizers trick anyone. Don't tell them, and you're an idiot. Tell them, and this happens to all of us, so we have to be aware. And then next time someone starts gish galloping using whataboutism, they're like, wait a minute. This is exactly what they said was going to happen.
I find it better to do things like Socratically. Like, you just keep asking them questions about a certain topic, just keep going deeper and deeper, and then you can see what they actually know. Like, a lot of people, especially like in politics and stuff, they like love layer one. Like, they'll know like one talking point or something like that, but you ask them like a follow-up question, oh, hey, how does that happen? Or like, you start delving deep, and you find out they don't know anything, and they might find out themselves that they don't know anything, and you don't really have to call them any names or anything. It's like, discuss. And if they do know something, you'll either learn something new, or you'll reinforce your previous preconceived notions on the topic. You know what I mean? You just keep asking questions, and it goes smoother. People don't get all butt hurt and stuff like that. But when you like have that incessant need to be right, and keep like forcing your own opinion on somebody, and you really want them to believe you, like it seems like the conversation just goes to hell.
I feel like the power to force other people to do your will is more rewarding for them than convincing them.
Right.
Yeah, that's when people start name calling, because they might not believe what you're saying or something like that, and then, oh, you're just a fucking idiot. You don't know what I'm talking about. You're not educated enough. Or blah, blah, blah. I mean, when you go that road, instead of just ask questions, you know what I mean? Just keep asking questions.
It's a win for them, though. If they can outdiss you, to them, that means they're right for some reason.
But a lot of times, it just hinders the argument, and you just stop learning anything, because that person shuts down. When people get in their emotions, they shut down. They don't want to talk anymore. Or you just start like talking about each other, just.
No, they just feel like that they can devalue your opinion. If they can devalue your opinion enough, then that means theirs means more, and that's how they decided to do it.
I don't mind talking to people about certain ideas, but I am just so done arguing. Like if someone tells me their point of view, and you say, oh well, I disagree with that because I do. The level of like detail of research they've done, just like in my opinion, in my experience anyway, that like just gets thrown at you.
That's not what
this government has detailed, and this is that, and that this number's over here. If you look back over here, you're just like, dude, I'm done.
Yeah, the thing that really helped me was the first time I encountered this was talking to young Earth creationists.
Young Earth creationists?
Yeah, people who say the Earth is about 5,000 years old.
Oh, okay.
Right? So you know that they're wrong, like just they must factually be wrong based on literally everything you can see. And you know that when you talk to them, they are going to have researched this topic more deeply and more intensely than you ever have.
Exactly.
Right? So there's no arguing the facts with them, because there'll always be another fact. And this reveals something true about knowledge in general. Whatever we think to be true, if you're willing to give up enough assumptions, you can hold on to that truth. And therefore, you're not required logically to change your mind around anything, as long as you're willing to give up all these other assumptions. And so we can't logically argue people out of opinions. Also, we're lying to ourselves. Every last one of us is, despite what you may see in this very room, not a floating head. In fact, we are not floating heads. We are embodied meat. We are animals. And the vast majority of our being is animalistic. We eat and we shit and we sleep And most of what we do is on autopilot and emotional.
Hopefully,
the
in
only
that
things
order.
that we, yeah, well, I do, but that's in me. Okay, so the point is that this is what Jonathan Haidt calls the elephant and the rider. The rider thinks that he controls the elephant, but really, the elephant's controlling this ride. And if you want to have control over what's going on, number one, you can't think you can just tell the elephant what to do. And number two, you have to start asking, okay, what does happen when I do this thing? And you start noticing, oh shit, this elephant's going in a direction that I don't have complete control over, even though I think I'm the only one here. Yeah? Then you start reflecting on how can I change my principles and how can I reward myself and how can I change my system so that I start behaving differently than the way I was before when you want to make a change. But it's so much harder than just do it because we are these animals in the world. And so when you recognize that, you stop thinking, oh, I have to argue all the ideas. I have to argue all the ideas. You're like, actually, we have to get to the emotions of people. We have to be able to be alongside them and let them know that, it's okay. It's okay to be safe here. Let's talk about why your animal feelings are like this.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just like so done with the arguing and yeah, I guess you have a point there, but it's just because one of the things I asked him and that really he doesn't have an answer for, and I'm starting to ask this to a lot of people who start these kind of arguments in my life, not necessarily on here, but it's like, okay, you have all this information. The world's going to shit because of Soji. The world's going to shit because of DEI. The government's failing. Everything's blah, blah, blah. You got a lot of information on this. So tell me, the fuck are you going to do about it? Other than just calling people and screaming at them. What's your plan? What are you going to do about it? Or are you just going to call me or whoever and just unload this massive amount of information you got from the Daily Wire or something like that? Or do you have a plan? Because if you don't, you're wasting my fucking time and yours.
If they're unloading, what they're doing is they're taking being emotionally ginned up and they're just releasing it. It's a catharsis.
Right.
Yeah.
Similar to this, I suppose. Do you need?
Yeah, well,
you gotta.
Can be.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Or watching Purifier 3.
Yeah. My fault. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Well,
again,
no.
You did nothing wrong. It was great. Good conversation.
Yeah, no.
It's literally what we're doing here now is just sitting and talking to people about, what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
I
mean, but
did a great
you're very
job.
insightful. You're very insightful. You as well. I've been in this room a couple times. You're right. It has changed. I was kind of in shock when I came in here. I was like, why is no one getting the fucking third degree here? But
it doesn't help anyone.
No. It's you're a very insightful, smart person, both of you, and enjoy your company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you too.
Yes, same.
But
I was going to say before, to stay on the topic, I mean, one thing that I would kind of talk to him about is being like, hey, can you put yourself in the perspective of those people that you're talking about? Say, like, the woman who accidentally, crashed the boat or something like that. Like, if it was supposedly DEI or whatever, what was she supposed to do? Literally, she's doing her best to get a job that she feels she's qualified for. People are, and there's also a microscope on her and other people like her from the outside world. Anytime a white guy crashes a boat, you barely hear about it on the news. They'll be like, oh, well, that just happened. But if it's somebody that is a marginalized group, you hear about it for weeks. So,
well, yeah, you're not wrong. Remember that boat that plugged up the supply route?
Yeah.
Right. Nobody heard about that, but if it was
somebody
else,
God,
if it was this gay woman,
it would have been, Jesus Christ, that would have been no women can ever go through the Bering Strait, or not the Bering Strait, whatever, the Suez Canal or whatever. They'd be like, no.
You mean that Panama Canal thing,
Yeah.
where it was like all sideways?
Yeah,
and shit?
where the
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Eman, I do this exercise all the time. I remove all the descriptors of certain stories. Like, to me, that story, I read about that story. That story, the fact that they mentioned that she was gay and she was a woman, it was completely immaterial to what actually happened. Instead of
That's
reporting
what
on
started the whole argument. I said, why does it matter if she's
yeah,
gay?
why?
What
What is her sexual orientation? Do they say like? I would say so. What? Let's say it was a man. It was a straight white man. Would you be as mad that he crashed that same boat in that same exact scenario?
Oh, obviously.
So what is it that you have the issue? What was it that gave you such a strong emotional reaction to that? If it was in the same shoes, if it was the same issue with a man instead of what it was, who it was. So I think that's where the disconnect is. I tell that all the time. Like, what is I was having a conversation today with one of my associates. What is the difference between a drag queen reading to a bunch of kids some sort of like kids book versus any straight person reading a kid's book? It's the same book. It has nothing to do with queer identity or queer anything. So do you have a problem with the action that they're taking, or is it the person that you're taking that you don't agree with? Because that's a different conversation that you want to have. They accuse people of like pushing a certain agenda. Oh, the drag queen. Why does the drag queen need to be reading to kids? Because they want to do a good service. Because they want to teach kids how to read or whatever it is. So it's immaterial who it is, what the person is. They're not pushing some sort of hidden crazy LGBTQIA agenda. It's literally reading to kids. So why is the person and the individual the problem?
I feel like it's they're just they're collecting needles to build haystacks, hoping that someday they'll be able to break some camels' backs. These people keep grabbing for every little thing, and they keep bringing it to you, thinking this will be the one. This one time that he'll see it my way, and then he'll hate all the same things I hate.
I will say like that is one that I do struggle with, because when you talk about, because drag queens historically is an adult activity. Nothing wrong with it. I encourage it, but I don't think adult activity should be. Personally, I think adult activity stuff should be in a child's classroom, because that's just me. I have nothing against drag queens. I know drag queens, but I know one drag queen, but that's kind of, I do have an opinion on that one, but I just thought I'd voice that because you brought it up, or to challenge that viewpoint.
Man. Okay. So let's assume that what you just said is reasonable. Okay.
Is it not?
Well, here's the problem.
It is.
Yeah, here's the problem. What's the difference between a transgender woman and a drag queen?
One's a show and one's a gender identity.
And if you use the legislature to ban the one, can you avoid banning the other?
No.
Cannot. So this attack on the concept of anyone being in drag in public is really an attack on the ability to express your gender how you want. I mean, think about it. Think of how much this is an authoritarian right-wing control mechanism to force women to dress like women and men to dress like men, right? So that you have to conform to gender stereotypes fully, or else you're in violation of the law.
Well, Yeah, but don't you think there's a time and a place for things? No one's saying
Well,
you
this
can't
is
dress
this
like
is
that.
a different question, Emat. No one's saying that there should be sexualized behavior directed at children. Instead, that's right. Instead, they're saying if you try and ban somebody from being a cross-dresser of any kind, you're really trying to make it against the rules to be trans. But not only trans, but very soon a woman who just dresses too masculinely. I just listened to Breonna Taylor, I believe. No, what's her name? I just listened to a book. I wish I knew the person's name. I only listen to books because I'm dyslexic, but I'll call it reading. Yeah, so the name of the book was Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner's book. She was arrested by the Russians for having less than a puff in her vape.
That's right.
But it was right at the beginning of the war.
NBA.
And so I listened to her book, and she had, because she's a 6'7" tall woman, because she doesn't have large breasts, she is just used to ending people yelling at her for going into the women's room by pulling down her pants and showing them that she doesn't have a penis. That is her world, because people are unhappy with the cross-dresser or the trans person or the man going into the woman's room.
I'm not saying that people should
Does she
be.
really
I know
do
you
that?
aren't. I know you aren't.
I'm just saying.
That's what she says she has to do.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
People come in and demand that she leave.
That's obviously not
that's
right.
extreme to have to get yourself to that point to say, well, that's easier just to pull down my pants than it is to have to argue with you.
That's right.
That's crazy. That's unfortunate.
I don't know. I don't like literally. There are some old Karens that would insist. I heard about a story today of somebody that brought their 2-year-old boy into the bathroom with them to use the restroom, and some old lady was like, "Why'd you bring a boy in here?" And it's like, it's 2-year-old kid. They're not going to remember anything. What is the danger? Yeah, of people just trying to be bathroom police.
Yeah. I at my job, they recently have taken. They've changed the bathrooms into, anybody can do whatever, but they haven't changed the physical construction of the bathroom. So there's still urinals in the men's room. And I feel endangered by now. If I use the urinal and a woman walks in, I feel like I could be accused of threatening behavior just because I'm not enclosed. So I was never consulted. And I think the decision to make the bathroom, open to anyone without changing the construction of the bathroom is dangerous for the men who are just kind of innocently using the bathroom.
I don't know that it's dangerous, but you have every right to not want an intergender bathroom because you just
because now I have to change my behavior.
Agreed.
Do you?
What are you changing? That's what you're worried about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Going into a stall.
Well,
No, I'm seriously. No, I do. When they did that, that made me when they did that, and I saw that people were just kind of going wherever.
I ride an electric bike all the time, and people get pissed off because I hold them up for 2 seconds when I go around a corner. And
that's true too.
Well, I'm just saying that now that they've done that, I change my behavior.
Oh, I see what you're
About family time, there should be gender-neutral bathrooms if it's a one person at a time bathroom.
Yeah, that's what.
But it's not. It's not.
No,
it's like a big old gigantic place where dudes are just going to the urinal, just going and peeing.
I know. I agree with you. I think that's
so I don't think it's unreasonable to have certain gendered spaces.
Well, to be fair, like
they should build the bathrooms better, and
but if the bathrooms are not
built to show off your dick. You shouldn't have had to show off your dick to piss in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just
Yeah,
saying
that's
that
what I'm
that's the
saying.
way the bathrooms are in a
Urinal.
completely in right now. You know, like before they changed it, it was fine, but now they've
Fraggle,
changed it.
your
It's
argument,
not
no, your
fine.
argument,
It's
your
an
argument
inconvenience.
holds
It's not a
as an
convenience.
anti-trans argument. Your argument holds as an anti-gay argument. What if
No,
somebody's
it doesn't.
attracted to men and they walk in? What if
No, it's different. No, it's different because because I don't feel it's not a
now I
sexual
get it.
thing. It's not no hold on. It's not a sexual thing.
The
It's a
sun.
sexual
Right.
harassment
Mirko,
thing.
Jazz, if you can.
We're just planets around his sun.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay.
Can I just say
No,
two
he
things?
had a,
Can I
he
say
had a
two-
decent
two
point.
things?
That sexual harassment thing.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different than.
That's
true.
different.
Yeah,
than
yeah,
I'm not
yes,
worried about-
but
I'm worried about women specifically. Me using a urinal with women walking in is different.
okay.
Different.
Being a woman,
on,
let me
hold on,
tell you
okay.
that they probably
Okay.
should have, instead of going like, this is a male's bathroom, they could do the silhouette thing like this is normal. That's fine. They should have had gendered bathrooms,
Well-
and then trans men will go into the men's restroom, and no trans man is going into the men's restroom and going, oh my god, I saw a dick.
That's
Oh
not
my
my fear.
God.
No,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
fear
yeah.
is women specifically.
Yeah,
And
no,
so
it seems like a problem with your work.
badly,
But
a badly
Also, they should
constructed
have just put tape
space.
over the urinals or something like that to
That's a
block it
way.
off.
This woman obviously
I
does
kinda
not
agree
know how
with
urinals
Fraggle.
works. All right.
I know
agree
you
with
guys
that.
will pee on a sign that says
just
"Do
say-
not use."
but they didn't. They just went
Yeah.
with the inclusion without the thought.
Oh, my server's crashing. Sorry, guys. I think the two issues were my big screen crashed, and then also my internet went out. So, trying to fix both issues at once. Apologies. I'm bringing everything back up. Right here. Big screen. Triple apologies. I actually haven't. I forgot to bring chat back up. Have you guys been talking? Oh, I'm so sorry, Hollywood. Oh, always a crash. Okay. Cool. Do. Okay, host my room. Everything publicly listed. Okay, there we go. Hello. Sorry, the room crashed. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was my internet. I don't know what happened to my internet. So let me pull up the thing again. It's fine. Hopefully other people see that the room is open and that we can do some bullshit. Okay. Oh well. Technically we're still streaming, so hopefully it's not all in vain. Let's see. Then I think it's just Hollywood Court. Number 1 viewer. Hooray. Okay, let's see. Let's go. New room up. And then I will just physically invite him.
Hey, what's up?
I think one time I went to a restroom that it was gender neutral and it was all stalls.
Yeah.
And that was like the first time it was a little bit weird at first just because I'd never been in a restroom like that. But then I was like, okay, well, everybody's
That's
got
what
their own
every
private
single
stall.
female's restroom is like.
So, like, as a female, are you okay, like, with a restroom where it's men and women, but everybody has stalls?
Oh, I don't care at all, even the slightest. I don't. I personally, for me, I wouldn't care if there's urinals as long as they have little tiny, at least some kind of wall. But that's just me.
Europe.
Like I said, I'm
trying.
almost non-binary, but
In
mostly.
Europe, everything is unisex. So
Yeah.
when you get in the bathrooms, it's just stalls and wash basins.
Yes. So that I worked at a bar and it was a unisex bathroom. I never seen one, so I walked in, and all it was a big U, a big U. What do you vanity kind of thing with a bunch of sinks. I think they had like 8 sinks, and they all had their own mirror. And it was in a U shape, and then there was a hallway all the way down, and it had stalls on either side. There was probably about 12 or maybe even 18, maybe even 20 stalls. I can't remember. It was a long hallway, and there was bathrooms on every single side all the way down. Now, being a nightclub, I mean, you can imagine what actually happened in those bathrooms. But
well, from a practical standpoint, I mean, I guess just having one big bathroom and then making sure that there's lots of stalls, like that probably would save on
at the end of the day,
and plumbing.
At the end of the day, who gives a fuck? Because no one's really dropping bombs and like in public bath. Like I would try my hardest. Not if I knew I had something big coming in, I'd probably go home. You know what I mean? I'd save that for home.
The thing about bathrooms here is that America is very, and I'm American by the way, but we're very uptight about sexuality, and that's why we have these problems.
I do want to mention to Max Prowla, not the second thing, but the first thing. You have no idea how much period blood is all over women's toilet seats. So literally, do not even be like, "Oh, women don't want to smell my turds." It's like you actually don't want to have to go into a women's restroom. That shit is
women tell me all the time. Like when you go to women's restroom, there's like period blood.
Yeah. People will just throw their tampons. It is gross, and that's actually dangerous because of the
Is the plumbing designed to
stuff.
handle tampons?
No. You have to have a little tiny.
Trash.
You have a little trash can that all women's stalls have.
Yeah.
A little trash can with a paper bag inside.
I walked into a woman's bathroom one time by accident and went into a stall. I was in such a rush to take a dump, and when I came out, I realized I was in the wrong bathroom.
Oh no!
I think
I'll go into the
at
women's
some point in our life.
I don't give a shit if it's a single bathroom. Like if you go to a restaurant or something like that, and it's like male and female, and one's male and one's female, and they're single use, like they're single person. I do not give a I do not give a shit. No, I'm not talking about like if it's like a walk-in bathroom with multiple stalls. If it's just a single-use bathroom, I don't care if it says man or a woman on the sign. I don't give a shit. Like if someone's using the men's bathroom, I'm gonna use the woman's bathroom. I don't care.
I don't know if you guys got Qdoba where you guys are at, because I know where you guys are at, but it's like a Mexican restaurant chain.
Oh no.
Similar to like a Chipotle. It's like a fast food place.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, okay.
But they have this concept of gender free. Basically, all the bathrooms say gender free on it, so basically anybody goes into it.
Does it wait? That was a question that we were asking earlier. Do they have like a gender recommendation, or like is there anything that's like, hey, this is the feminine form and the masculine form? Because does one have urinals or not?
The signs on Qdoba's bathrooms basically there's just toilets in there. They're both the same, and the sign says gender free.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes more sense.
You know, my friend, he was taking a piss in my house here. I just moved. He was taking a piss, and I didn't know, and I walked in on him, and he was sitting down, and I was like, oh, don't trust. And I just in joking, I was like, oh, don't trust your aim. And he was like, no, man, I sit down every time I go to a person's house. And I was like, oh, why? And he's like, because I'm not gonna spray all over someone's toilet. It's just nice. And so I was like,
I hope that guy with the toilet thing comes back. Fraggle Rock needs to come back. Here's the thing. I figured it out. He's a trow dropper. He's standing there at the urinal and he's just dropping his pants, showing his ass off. That's what's going on.
Like
full moon, huh?
yeah.
I'm gonna be
Around
honest
his
with you.
ankles.
I've seen that at Disney, where it's full. Like if it's a kid, and into the bathroom, whatever, it's a kid. I've seen full-grown adults just like on the floor. I'm not even. I don't care about your ass, dude, but. Please, for the love of God, you do realize that all your pants are on the floor. It's a dirty floor, dude.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh yeah.
Bobby does this. He's the mentally disabled adult dependent. The only other time I've seen this is I was in Oklahoma. I was in a little town in Oklahoma, and there was just like 3 truckers, and all of them had dropped trow. I thought maybe... I'm pretty sure I was in like the mentally disabled adult dependent part of Oklahoma, because everyone working there, like my wife had a Yoda backpack on. It looked like Yoda was riding her back. And the person there said, "Y'all like Star Wars, huh?"
Ever, dude.
Jesus.
I see it at a club once in a while. It's gym bros come in. There's a couple of them that do that. They just drop trow. And I'm like, yeah, it's thinking the same thing. That the floor doesn't even look. I mean, our club's pretty nice, so they probably clean pretty often. But still, there's splatter all over there. I'm sure at some point.
Oh, I wouldn't even want to know what was on the floor at the club I worked at, man. Some guy came up. Oh, man. Go ahead.
I think it's that kind of person is a good argument. Usually that's what I go for. Just like,
Right. And the reason for that voice and why it's so effective is that we cannot have a rational argument until we've established our emotional and social arguments. And if you just attack the other person at an emotional or social level, you automatically win, because then you don't even have to think.
well, we're not all women, so I don't know if that follows. You see what I did there with the sexism? You see the sexist part?
No, I didn't notice any sexism. Could you explain in more detail?
Sure, only women do that
I mean,
shit,
he's
bro.
just
We're
being
Logical
logical.
creatures as men.
Oh, gotcha.
That was
Gotcha, I
just
get
like
it. It's meta-ironic. It's meta-ironic
Mm.
because it hits that level of who's the in and out group and is obviously emotionally based.
Yes, exactly. See, men are just logical beings. We never attack each other with words or feelings. We don't have time for that. It's
But
just
fists.
logic.
Fists when necessary.
Fists are good, but
logical
fists are useful. Yeah, logical fists.
I'm about to
Is that
attack right now.
No, don't do it. No, I was doing a joke. I was kidding. Dude, I saw the block
Okay.
button come up.
There we go.
I was like, don't do it. I'll be quiet. I will listen.
No,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's
give
an
him a
important
use
point, right? First thing we have to establish when having a
that was
conversation
good. That
is
was really good.
like, you're not like, you have to know I'm not going to kill you, right? You have to know that there's no emotional danger here, that I'm not going to attack you. And the second thing you need to know is that I'm part of your group. So it's not your job to kill me. Because if I'm outside your group, you got to kill me, right? Once
I
we've
don't think
established
that
we're not
follows.
killing each other. No, because if you're outside of the person's group, you can't have a conversation because you're talking into a different group. And that group of people
What does
doesn't
group
have an
mean
agreement.
here?
Yeah, man. So are you a part of... What's your job?
Software engineering.
Fantastic. If
So
you're
I
hanging
only
out
want
with
to
a
kill
bunch
people that are in hospitality. Is that what I'm
of-
hearing?
I mean, you may want to, right?
I
So
mean, no.
you might want to kill people who are in sales, who are trying to tell your software engineering team to put in a new piece because they promised the client that's what they're going to have.
Well, if we're gonna be hyperbolic, I
Guess, but I don't want to kill anybody.
Right. What I'm actually appealing to, a more tribalistic perspective. And
Which
in a
not
modern
everybody
world, we don't
subscribes to.
physically attack each other. In a more modern world, we just have our in groups and out groups, and power is much more subtle.
It'd be something
I'm
like,
using it.
be something like, oh, those damn IT guys.
Right, or fucking sales always telling us to put more shit in. We don't even have the old stuff done. So
Yeah,
We're
my
being
work
legal
it's
with all the
currently
contracts.
those goddamn engineers. Fucking
Yeah, I
customer
can't
customer
fucking-
service stealing all our parts and tools. Fuck them.
Yeah, and if I don't want to kill them all, then I probably can't have a logical debate with them, or I can. I forget what we were getting at there.
yeah, if I'm not your enemy and you're not my enemy, and we establish both of those things, then we can say, okay, we can form an agreement with each other. I can say something, you can disagree. You can say something, I can agree. We go back and forth until meaning emerges between our negotiation. That is discourse.
Yeah.
But
sorry, almost like it's you must have at least respect for the other person as a human being, but also it's like you can understand if they're joking a little bit. You know,
like if someone was to say something about how women aren't logical, then you would know that they didn't mean it because
Yeah, or you wouldn't necessarily know that. You would then
you would
try
threaten
and
them a
suss
little
out.
bit to make sure that they said it. Like I will.
Yeah, you'd threaten them a
commit
little
violence
bit
against you, and they'd be like, "No, I submit," and then you would know you were
yeah,
good.
see,
and you'd be,
it's
okay,
like almost
that
like
makes
a
sense.
hierarchy that like dogs and
that.
cats do.
Yeah, I get to be the cat in this one. I think. I don't know.
I really like how Murko's the one. Never mind. Okay.
I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
No,
I think
well,
I really
I'm
think
not
at the end of the
here
day, blow smoke or whatever. Sorry, you can talk.
It's cool, bro. We get it. What you wanted to do was establish that people here weren't up their own asses, but at the same time that you're not an asshole.
There you go. There, perfect. Good read.
Yeah, the question is like sometimes you do that, but the people you think people are up their own asses, and in fact, they're really fucking suffering, right? Like this is a common thing that we would have done in the late 90s. I'm old. For gay people, and you would have joshed somebody about that, like don't take yourself so seriously, but honestly a lot of people were killing themselves, a lot of people were hiding who they were, a lot of people couldn't love who they loved and were having a horrible life because of that kind of activity. So it's up to you, man, to figure out where you want to stand on all that. But that's why I don't play that game anymore unless I'm absolutely certain that the other person is okay. And I went with Murkov's judgment.
Sure. Well, I usually
go
with if someone's...
Keep in mind that, like, hey, did you know I was the owner of the room? Because if you
I wouldn't
didn't
have expected a woman to be in charge.
exactly, because I wouldn't have been able. Yeah. No, I was saying like because if I wasn't, I wouldn't have been able to push back. Like if it was,
honestly, I was coming in. I was just gauging the room. Sometimes it's not great, but I think the big thing that I've always gone with is if somebody is going to kill themselves because I disagree with them about something, I don't know that I really have the power to necessarily save them.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Voice, because a lot of times, are like, well, I just disagree with this person. Why are they so upset? It's not about agreeing or disagreeing. It's about whether or not your community, the people that you live with, think you deserve to stop existing. And if you disagree with somebody... You disagree with somebody existing as themselves, which is what happens if you're insulting someone for being gay, for example. You're disagreeing with them for existing. So if you disagree with somebody for existing, then you are part of the social milieu in which people are led to suicide because they feel that they are no longer or are born to be inappropriate for this world, so they take themselves out of it.
So let me just
it's not
throw
about
this
disagreement.
at you.
It's not about whether or not Coke or Pepsi is better.
Well, but I'm guessing that this only applies to people that you yourself happen to agree with, right? For example, if I was to say, well, I don't want the pedophiles to kill themselves, I think you might disagree with me, right?
I don't want pedophiles to kill themselves.
You don't?
No.
Okay, so... All right, that's consistent. I'll take it. Neither do I, for what it's worth. I don't want anybody to kill themselves. I think that's actually like the standard of like a good person, right? Like, yes, everybody has problems and is flawed, and I don't want them to like die over it.
And
of course,
I don't see pedophilia as a identity. I see it as something that people are choosing to do.
Well,
and if I thought
homosexuality like that as well, why not?
Because people are born to be homosexual or
but not pedophiles.
And more importantly, it's not hurting anybody, so I don't need to make a distinction, and I don't care. I don't care if every gay person chose to be gay, because cool for them, right? I do care if you're harming children. And so actually, it really doesn't matter whether or not they're born that way. What does matter is that we do everything we can to help everyone that we can, including the people who are pedophiles, because those people need to get psychological help so that they don't commit crimes and so that they stop, they don't hurt other people, and so that they stop hurting themselves. Almost universally, people who are pedophiles were molested themselves as children, and what they need is therapy.
So I love it personally. I like that you have this like good natured sense of what it seems like. But I think that a lot of people, like for example, still believe that we should have the death penalty and things like that.
So here's the thing about taboos. Taboos are not just things you're not allowed to do. Taboos are things you're not allowed to think about. And if you think about it, it makes you dirty for having had to think about it. And when you are forced to confront a taboo, people's initial response without any rationality is kill it, get it away, it makes me sick. Right? And so when those violations occur, people respond in a way that isn't proportional to what the rationality would have to lead to the best outcome for the most people. Instead, it's just, that's morally upsetting. It's called moral dumbfounding.
So what about a murderer?
But yeah, that's another good point. Is I mean, we talk about how we don't want anyone to kill themselves, but if someone murdered like 12 people in the States, like, we're going to kill you, and then they kill themselves, aren't they just kind of doing everyone a favor? Or is the state wrong?
No, I do want to mention right now the death penalty is apt to bring up, and the fact that they really, I think it was like last month, killed somebody that even the prosecutor was like, we really weren't positive that that guy was a murderer. And then
the guy that just got exonerated.
Yeah.
Or got to stay in.
No, yeah, executed. Yeah. Well, no, there was a different guy. The guy that just got a stay, literally, like, it was shaken baby syndrome that his kid had.
I was watching this in
literally
Texas.
had, but and that was like 20 years ago, and the only evidence they had is this shaken baby syndrome, which is
they kill him today?
No, they didn't. They put a stay.
They
Thank
stopped
Christ.
They put a stay on it. Okay. Well,
I know, but but there was no evidence. He had no priors, like, and the kid was like sick, so it was most likely just kid SIDS or whatever. But yeah, that guy's in prison for the last 20-something years and was on death row for just one thing that could have been even just an accident. Probably should not give you the death penalty.
I think the best argument against the death penalty is that right there, is that the justice system is fallible.
And also, like I said, like a month ago, they murdered somebody, or they executed somebody who literally all the prosecutors went, this was a bad case. But the governor just let it go through. So, it's rough.
And now, I'd like to point out that very few people kill 12 people. The vast majority is just one. And the difference between killing and murder is not nearly as clear as you may think. Very often, the definition of a murderer is someone who has a dark heart when they commit the crime. And whether or not someone decided to commit that crime, or was in the heat of passion, or was distracted when they shouldn't have been, or exactly. So if we define the guilty mind, a mens rea, and that mens rea is a function of what a reasonable person would think, and reasonable people see some groups as less reasonable than others, then those less reasonable groups in and of themselves will be accused of and convicted for and sentenced based on murder instead of manslaughter more often. And we see this constantly in the criminal justice system, where there's good black people and bad black people. And if the prosecutor can name a black person as a bad black person, then, and get the jury to believe that, they will think of them as having that mens rea. They'll think of them as having a dark heart.
They do that for all races, though. I mean,
again, there's a very consistent pattern of good versus bad black people that is a meta-narrative in the legal system. It leads to a much higher propensity of the same described crime, leading to prosecution amongst black people because of the belief that there was this moral violation because a black person did it.
Yes, also keep in mind what I just brought up, it was Marcellus Williams that got executed. And it seems that it's like he should have gotten a stay as well. But he was black, so they just killed him.
I
so
think that's a bit of a stretch.
it might
they
be,
only
but
did it because he was black.
no, not only, but
Not only. Not only.
It sounded
There's
implied.
no.
There's definitely
No.
factual that blacks are
So if
prosecuted more,
if
than
from the
any other
conversation
color.
you're getting all or nothing, then that's not what anyone is.
Well, we're talking
intending.
about his race. Why? Like, because he was a black. You're talking about
Because
race, black,
it's-
the bad black people. Like that sounds very like
Hey, boys,
implied.
do you-
Okay, because
you know what?
on here the
You know what causes-
NAACP said Missouri lynched another innocent black man. Governor Parson responsibility to save an innocent life, and he didn't. We hold the Governor Parson accountable when the DNA evidence proves innocence. Capital punishment is not justified. It is murder. They had DNA evidence that this guy didn't do it. So,
So,
yeah.
boys, let me ask you something. Do you know that eating poorly and not exercising increases your likelihood of having a heart attack?
I thought you were gonna say being black, and I was gonna be like, I don't know.
Do you know that?
Sure,
Actually,
unhealthy
Do you
behavior is
know-
unhealthy.
Yeah. Do you know that some people engage in those unhealthy risk factor behaviors but never have a heart attack?
Yes.
Do you know that some people engage in none of those risk factor behaviors but have a heart attack?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In America, in the criminal justice system, being black is a huge risk factor. Everything else taken into account, you're much more likely to be convicted of a much worse crime if you walk in as a 320-pound black man than if you did the exact same thing and you're a 120-pound white young woman.
Yeah, but isn't that more like a narrative on like attractive people are just gonna fare better in society in general?
No,
We're talking
this is
about young,
racism.
thin white women, but it's not a racial thing. It's just a young, thin woman in general.
Okay.
Women in general,
Let's
for
change
example.
it to a man. It's still
Yeah,
the case.
I think men fare worse than women do in the justice
No.
system.
Ignore gender here. When it's a white person versus a black person, and there's a judge involved, or even a jury, it's more likely that they're going to be
a prosecuting attorney.
Exactly, they're
and
way more likely
all
to be
the
prosecuted.
people writing all the rules.
Just due to race.
Yep. All the way down, it's about whether or not people feel a moral outrage and how are they going to get revenge for their moral outrage. The entire legal system is based on this.
Well,
So how they change
in
it?
America,
You guys-
it's deep-rooted that blacks create more crime, and that's why the prejudice exists.
Or the prejudice exists, therefore they are arrested for and they are convicted of more
How do we
crime,
tell the difference?
therefore reflecting the prejudice.
Incarceration.
Right,
do we
that's what I'm
tell the
saying.
difference?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, so it goes both ways, right? And the truth is that you will have both of these occurrences. Now, what you can see is that if you take out the racialized effects, then you take out the question of socioeconomic status, you then no longer have an increase in criminal arrests. Also, the FBI arrest statistics, black people are also number one for being released without a charge.
Exoneration. Damn it, I was looking that up,
Yeah.
Sayus. Had it on the thing. No, that's funny.
But I think black people is an easy.
But aren't they
argument
also
for the
arrested
topic,
more
right?
per cap? Like
I
that's the
think
argument there.
a better way to argue, or a better way to talk, not argue, but a better or stronger conversation would be, what about cartels, right? Which can be any color,
Sure.
and they're just pure criminals, right? Do they deserve death penalty?
They don't deserve the death penalty because they're individuals that
I think they're
need to have
anti-death
lives.
penalty in general is what I'm getting vibe-wise.
If you're defending yourself from someone that's attacking you, then you have every right to do that.
But that's not what these criminals are doing.
But that's
They're
not the
killing
question.
people.
If there is a group of people who are armed in trying to attack someone, then you have every right to fight back, right?
Yeah, I mean, like they
But-
get arrested, like say, what's his name, that Mexican cartel leader, El Chapo. So he got
So?
arrested. Should he face the death penalty, or should he go for life in prison?
I think it's dependent
Why would you
on
kill
his
anybody?
own.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're anti-death penalty. That's the idea.
Well,
They
no, I'm just
don't-
asking the question, right? It's a question. I'm posing the question.
I'm
not
asking why would you
anti-death
kill him?
I'm not anti-death penalty, and I'm a liberal. Well, I mean, I'm a Democrat now.
I used to be an independent forever, and I recently switched to diehard Democrat because the Republicans are fucking ludicrous. I believe in the death penalty.
Those are just facts, but
yeah, from the media, so you know it's true.
No, they're facts. Let me.
Yeah.
Tell me
Tax cuts are evil.
something. Tell me something that you believe is
Tax cuts.
Tax cuts for the rich, and then you
No,
get
it's
a
for everybody. Look it up,
0.3%. You save 2,000.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair. We don't want to make it about politics up in here.
Mama,
You know what? There's
Mama.
a great
I
room
thought this-
open right now
Mama.
called Let's Talk Politics, and I think you'll get exactly what you want out of that. It's run by Penguin Hunter. I suggest you go there.
So Bear,
No,
what
my
we're
bad.
saying is that
What are we talking about here?
a person like El Chapo, who masterminded murders of hundreds of people, as well as poisoning, children.
But what if he didn't
people in
do
jail.
that? What if?
Well, let's assume for a moment.
I think that's
right?
their argument.
Let's assume for a moment that he is guilty of all these things, right?
Then,
I
yeah, I
think what
think he
we're
should
arguing
die.
is whether or not there should be death penalty. Right?
I agree. I believe there should be. Yeah.
So here's the deal. The reason that you don't have a death penalty is that the moral convictions of a people change pretty rapidly. They had the
We
death
might think
penalty.
that's fine in 100 years, killing 100 people or whatever. That might be okay
No.
in a little bit.
No, but
Oh,
we
no?
might think that there's a way to change someone's brain so that they aren't killers anymore.
Ah, yes,
That
they
is
give
true.
her.
You have Neuralink
We'll just
coming.
lobotomize people instead. That'll be.
So,
a
boys,
solution.
wait,
Kind
do
of
you
an
know
all
what?
or nothing
Boys,
fallacy.
what is it when you cast onto someone else an argument they didn't
Projection.
make, but which is
Oh,
easy to
straw
knock
man.
over? There you
Very
go.
good.
There you go. Are you interested in actually talking about the ideas?
Sure. I just think I'm just sorry. I'm a little buzzed, so I just go a little faster. But it's
So you're-
fine. I'll
So
slow
you're
down.
saying, Doctor, that something like Neuralink, which can then reprogram the brain.
Yeah, just take
might
free
be able
will
to
away, and then we're
cure
good.
an
Then we don't have to
El
worry
Chapo.
about it.
Yeah, man, doing it
Well,
again.
There he goes
boys,
again.
what if free will is on a spectrum? Can we agree free will is on a spectrum?
No.
Okay. If you were tied down, would you have free will?
Yes.
And if
But you would take
were
away
lo-
my agency. I mean, that's the way it would go to some extent. My freedom of movement. But yes, I mean, your thoughts are still your own. That's like the last thing. And you guys are like, well, we could take that away, and then you might be safe for society. And then we're getting into like straight up dystopia world where we just
Right, but if
mind
you're-
drug everybody.
If you're unsafe for society, you're
murder
a
them.
cartel
Then
leader.
you don't
mass
deserve to
murdering
have your
people.
brain.
Right.
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 Well, you
So
probably deserve to die.
again,
Why don't just kill? Why don't just
if
kill
your
them then?
freedom,
saying.
your freedom is on
Yeah.
a spectrum. Your freedom is on a spectrum, right? And your liberties can be taken away. And the ultimate
Doesn't it
reduction of
just
liberty
sound
is not
terrible?
a lobotomy; it's murdering somebody.
I would rather
So
die
you
than have
kill-
my brain messed with.
That's up to
yes.
you, voice. That's up
No,
to
it's
you.
up to society
But
if that's what society's doing. That's what I'm getting at.
again, again, if there are ways to, let's say it wasn't just like ripping someone's brain apart with Neuralink. Let's say we figured out how to give people a talk therapy so that they could learn what the problems they had were and learn to be a contributing member of society, even if, as a matter of social vengeance, we decide that person is never leaving jail. But instead, they can still contribute by doing things without being killed. Isn't that a better option?
But
Or
then-
is it that you just have a really deep-seated sense of vengeance and you feel like there needs to be that level of revenge?
It doesn't
Well,
necessarily have
I'm
to
not
be
saying
vengeance.
it's vengeance.
Justice.
What I'm saying is that if you do that, then innocent people now have to support this killer in jail, right? They have to pay taxes,
Also
which
true.
then feed that
Well,
person.
people
get
in
that person
jail.
killed.
Well, two parts. So this is like maybe the longest standing argument for the death penalty, right? I
Money.
don't want to have to pay for their food, right?
Reasonable argument, yeah.
Yeah, it works really well if we're in the Old West and we're going to hang them tomorrow at noon for stealing a horse.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you want to do?
Yes.
Not for
Great.
stealing a horse.
So,
but
boys,
for,
that's an unreasonable argument. You know it's an unreasonable argument, and since you've
I mean, I'd use a
decided
bullet. I think it's faster and
repeatedly-
cheaper, but yeah,
since you've
hanging,
decided
whatever.
repeatedly to have a dishonest conversation, or you honestly believe that we should just execute people without finding out if they're really killers.
Never said that.
That's
a straw man.
You said
No, I
you
didn't.
would.
That is a straw man.
No, you said
you
you'd.
would use a bullet to kill them the next day.
Yeah,
No,
for a horse
after they're
thief.
convicted.
For a horse thief, that's
Convicted
not
of
a
crime
murder.
like murdering people.
Now you've
If you're
added in after
100% sure they're
convicted.
guilty,
Didn't
then
just
yeah,
say shoot
there
people
is
in the
something.
head the next day if we think they
There'll
did something
never
wrong.
be 100%.
Never
Yeah,
said
of
that.
course,
There's
of
never
course.
going to be 100%. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, thinking someone did something wrong and having a trial where it's proven are completely different things.
Yeah,
Right?
so we're talking about
The police
trial and
arrest
the
a
death penalty.
The police arrest a criminal. I'm
Trials
pretty
could
sure
be
that they
overturned
think
and
that they did something wrong. That's why they arrest them.
Yes,
but
and
they
then we
still
have a
get their day
jury
in court.
prove it.
They still present evidence and witnesses, and they have a defense.
I never said let's get rid of the justice system and shoot people.
I agree.
When it's a death penalty case, we go very slowly with the appeals to make sure we have all the evidence we can. Do you agree with this, Voice?
Yes, I think that's a good
Okay,
idea.
Because okay, so this is the point I was making. You said we should just kill them the next day. So
sorry if there's a misunderstanding. I don't mean skip trial and shoot people in the head. I'm sorry if that was confusing.
When we have a death penalty, the cost of prosecuting that death penalty is substantially higher than the cost of simply having a room and food for somebody, particularly somebody that we can put to work. Because you can get a positive outcome from people in jail by putting them to work. So, in terms of the cost to
Slave
society
labor,
for
So-
maintaining,
so do you
yes,
believe
literally,
in
it's in the
slavery?
Constitution that you can
Slave labor,
enslave the people that are convicted of
Free mind
felonies.
drugs or death. Those are like options.
Well, I know, but
Literally in the
also,
Constitution.
like,
You would
it's
rather
it's
kill
not
somebody?
For, we don't have to
Rather
force
die
them
than be
to
a
work,
slave
but we
also,
can give
yeah.
them the option to work.
You say
And
that
most
now.
people take the option to work
Right.
for perks. Like access
and
to a
once again-
computer or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you
you
say that
shoot
now.
the
And
license
again,
plates.
every time that you make this argument, oh, well, it costs us too much money. We have to kill them. Well, it actually doesn't. They deserve to die is your counter argument. It's a shit counter argument, dude. You're
Well,
making
no,
an
no,
honest
like
argument
500
about how
babies.
But no,
expensive
no,
it is.
it's not a
It's
shit
reasonable.
counter argument. Some people do. I mean, if you're going
There we
to,
go. There we go. That is a good argument, Infamous. If he was actually saying, I believe they deserve to die because I want vengeance, then we could talk and have an argument, Infamous, from that perspective. That's a conversation we can have. Other bullshit that you're using to distract yourself from that actual argument, that's not a real argument.
Can we
you
have
seen
La Flame
law-abiding-
talk? Because she's had her
sorry.
hand up for quite a bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, go ahead, La Flame High again. We're good friends.
Yeah, this just okay. So I'm super anti-death penalty, also. But also, I remember seeing in a magazine years ago, well, quite a long time ago, Donald Trump actually endorsed the Central Park Five to be given the death penalty, which it's very good that they didn't, because they were all exonerated and they did not rape that woman in Central Park. So, I mean, say he did push for that and they did get it and they died. These 5 people would have died. And they did nothing.
That's
Like,
true.
so, yeah.
The justice system is fallible, yeah, for sure.
Oh, of
So
course.
just
Yeah,
kill
but
people.
for
That's
5
So why have
people,
jail?
because they were black men.
Yeah, I mean, jail's bad
But-
too. 50 years in jail is not much different than death, guys, and that's
Voice.
happened.
Well, at
plenty
least
of
they
times.
can come
Again,
back and reestablish
everything
their
to
life.
you, death is a better option every time we have a conversation. You know what? Prison food is worse than death, according to you, dude.
Right,
Like
it's not.
I never said
right?
that.
Well, no, you said that being part of a labor group would be worse than death. You said that
Slavery.
having psychological treatment to help you with your problems is worse than
Losing your
death.
free will.
You said. Yeah, because you're
These two
reframing these things where you're still alive and you get to live a better life as if they're worse than
Better
death.
is a
That
subjective
reframing
thing, my
doesn't
friend.
make a lot of sense, does it?
This is why I drag you in that other room, man. This is why I completely.
Oh,
fucking
it's Dollar Bill. What's up, buddy?
trash you.
Okay, so
'Cause you fuck with people.
voice, voice. Let's think about this. Do you honestly believe that it's a fate worse than death to go to a psychiatrist and learn to deal with your issues?
No, I never said that.
Okay, but you did say that if you did that, that would be a loss of your free will.
No, I
right?
said that if you drugged me to where my brain was changed so that I was better
And if
and didn't
you
do those things.
chose, okay, so if you chose to take Prozac so that you weren't depressed anymore, that would be a fate worse than death.
No, what's wild is saying that giving prisoners Prozac or murderers Prozac is going to solve the problem of them being murderers.
Actually, very often, what you need to give to people who are convicted of murder is chelation therapy because they're suffering from too much lead from their water pipes. or from gasoline.
So someone kills my whole family, we give them some Prozac, and then we just send them back on the streets, and we're like, we think we're good.
Oh,
we
boy,
didn't
so
miss
you're
that.
not
No,
talking
we
about the
didn't say
question.
that.
what he
No.
said.
You've changed the question, haven't you? The question you're asking now is how much
Yes,
revenge do you get to have? The question I was asking before was whether or not it's a face worse than death to take some meds to fix your brain. You've changed the perspective of this to you wanting revenge on somebody from the question you started with, what's the experience of the
think you have,
person who's
though.
being convicted of murder.
I like how they just shh him. It's like, I don't think that's right, and then everyone's like, shh, quiet down back
So,
there.
in
That's what I
this,
said.
Talking?
Is that what he's done now?
No, it's not.
Yeah. So the
I don't
conversation we were
mean
having,
this
the
either.
conversation we were having was over whether or not someone, for example, getting medication to change their brain so they're not homicidal anymore is a fate worse than death because you've lost your free will.
Well,
which
no,
is
if you can
what
guarantee
was
that they're never going to
arguing.
do it again, then
That's
you have
not-
to take free
that's
will away.
not
That's
what-
the only way to guarantee it. That was my point.
Is that
You don't have to.
That's a false dichotomy right there that you've given.
It's not. If you can't, okay. If your argument is we'll give him medicine,
false
and
dilemma.
we know he'll never kill again. That's your claim, right? We know that now.
Voice, it's not all or nothing because no one's all or
So
nothing.
what are
but
you
know what
saying?
we
They
do
might
know?
kill again, but they're probably all right. What are we doing here?
What we're doing is we're saying that the reason that we have for rationally holding on to somebody without vengeance, okay? Now, vengeance is a different question. But the reason to hold on to somebody in jail is because you think that they're more likely to commit that crime again, and you want to hold on to them until they don't commit that crime again. And it's a very reasonable thing to do. Crime is a young man's game. Young men commit crime, and when young men become older men, they stop committing crime.
That's
so
not
you take
true.
somebody.
What?
That's super
I mean,
true.
it's just empirically.
An old person has
provable.
never committed a crime. That's the claim
That's
right
not
now.
what he said.
Wait, guys.
Yo, I'm
Did
like
you
the most
see
liberal
how
person
every
ever, and I'm-
time I
I'm
make
blown
a
away
statement,
by
Crime
he
is a young
repeats-
man's game.
Hold
An
on,
old man
hold
wouldn't
on,
do that.
hold
They
on,
stop.
Hold on.
There's career.
Every time I make a statement, he reinterprets it as all or nothing. When we started, I prefaced the entire conversation with nothing is all or nothing. But if you go look at the numbers, you will find that if you want to drastically reduce the probability of someone committing a crime, you can put them in a box until they're around 45. And then it drops pretty drastically.
How much does it drop?
Almost all of the crime. Not all,
Well, that's
almost all.
basically a sure thing then. Basically, let's put all our money on black. It's basically a sure thing.
There he
I'm
goes.
sorry.
No,
wait,
but-
hold on. Just real quick.
Someone kills
You
my whole
don't-
family. They're probably good at 50.
Hey,
Let
you're
them
back
out.
to the vengeance
Hey,
question.
no, hold on. It's interesting, right? He talks about how it's not 100% and how that's a problem. Literally less than 10 minutes ago, didn't we say that it's not 100% on accuracy of the death penalty? And your response was the justice system was flawed. So then you're okay with a 100% with the chance that we might kill the wrong person. It's like, hey, it is what it is, versus a chance of actually,
No, I said that was my argument against the death penalty is that the justice system is flawed. That's the best argument against it. That's a great argument against why don't we kill people? Well, death is a final thing. The justice system's flawed, so we kill someone. We find out we made a mistake later. Whoops. Yes, I agree with all that. That was the point I was making.
And
what I
that
don't
whoops
like
is, and we can do the math, voice, right? Like a rational person could do the math. You would say, if we kill somebody, okay, and we killed 10,000 people, we know what percentage of those are going to be mistakes. We know how many extra people are killed. If we don't kill those people, but instead hold on them for 25 years and then release them, but then that person kills again, then we know there's an extra dead person out there because we released them, right?
that should never happen. That would be my statement. That should never happen.
It's crazy.
It's impossible for anything like that to never
I would rather
happen.
kill the wrong person than let someone out that killed people and be like, whoops, they killed more. And that happens all the fucking time. Like, that really does. That's the problem with our system.
Great.
Dude, you just said you'd rather kill the wrong person.
Yeah,
Then
so
be
you'd
letting
rather
out
kill
criminals
an
to go
innocent
kill more.
person.
Like,
That's how the American justice system works. The American
if it's
system
flawed,
works
it's flawed.
on
It's
the
going to be
fact
flawed
that
in both
we'd
ways,
rather
my
let
friend.
1,000
no, hold
innocent
on,
men go
just
free.
real quick.
It's murder either way. It's murder if you let a criminal out and they kill someone else. The state murdered someone.
That's
What happened.
Voice of a person. I've talked to you long enough to know you're bullshitting. Dr. Sayus, what did you actually say in regards to his whole claim you're letting people out? Was it rehabilitating people or?
So once again, you can do the math to figure out what the rational question is that triggered you emotionally, and you said, I would rather. An I would rather statement is not a rational statement, right? You're not talking about how many people are dying or not. Instead, that's an emotional response that you're giving me, which is why I started off with this conversation. We have to establish our emotional ground. If you've decided that you're in an emotional state where you can't have an honest, rational conversation, but instead you have to talk about vengeance and how you feel about these things, you are going to have you can't have an honest conversation about.
You don't need to project
rationality,
emotions
right?
onto me. I'm not upset or anything.
It's not about being upset. No. Emotions aren't when you're upset. Emotions are when you make your decisions based on a preference that's not based on rationality, but your intuition, your moral intuition, which is an emotional moral intuition.
Imply anything other than just what you would rather do? Like, how does it imply?
That's called an emotion, Infamous, because that's what an emotion is. It is a non-rational decision-making process.
What would you rather do?
Be rational.
Okay.
So,
well,
but
anyway,
you would, if you would rather be rational, then that's emotional, right?
Yes, it is.
Because rather implies emotional.
Yes, it is. That's correct.
Good. We're all emotional. I'm glad we established that. Now,
this is a great point, guys. Every time you encounter anyone who's outside of a enlightenment thinking rational argument, and for the centuries when anytime enlightenment would come up, people would accurately point out this idea of being rational and consistent and thinking things through like this itself is based on an emotional predisposition that you cannot prove rationally. And that is true.
This is what you're literally doing. I'm blown away.
That's what I just said. I said this is true. It is based on the moral conviction that being rational is better than being irrational, and holding to that moral conviction no matter where you go with it.
And
the only thing I can say in defense of rationality at that point is that every other form of emotional conviction is stuck in its ways. And rationality has systems for changing the way it thinks. And that is what put a man on the moon. That is what has created our modern world. And I invite you to join me in rationality. But if you wish to live in your emotions and your feelings of vengeance, I cannot and would not stop you. But you aren't in the world of honest, rational thought.
I just want to get a word in edgewise, really. Can I just get a word in edgewise, people? I'm sitting here forever. Listen. So here's this is the point I was making.
You're hogging the whole floor, man. We talking about
okay, yes, I'm hogging. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. You're good.
I'm saying, can't we solve all crimes by just banning assault weapons? The rational.
No, we need to ban the pepper weapons too, and then we won't have food crimes.
And knives. Don't forget knives.
Well, I mean violent crimes. I should have clarified.
We can't. Sorry.
I guess you could commit a violent crime with a pepper spray too.
If you look at Australia, the number of murders went down dramatically.
Yeah, of course. So we should ban
spoons next. Listen, here's the thing that I was getting at, guys. All right,
if we could go ahead and kick Voice, I'm done with him.
What the fuck?
Wait! Don't kick him yet. Don't kick him yet. Does anyone want to keep him? Actually, Sleek's a volunteer. This is his room as much as anyone else.
Okay. I mean, I'm not against it. I would say
Sleek is on the table now. Thank you.
I'm curious.
Voice, you said earlier that that you don't. I think we agree that killing innocent people is bad, and you said earlier that you would rather that an innocent person be executed than have a criminal let out 25 years later and then they kill an innocent person. So I'm curious, why are you more okay with the state killing an innocent person than a citizen killing an innocent person?
Very good question. I've been trying to answer it for about 10 minutes. I've been trying. Anyways, if you want, I'll do it real quick. What I was saying was that when the state lets somebody out, a murderer, somebody murders 10 people, right? Now they serve their sentence or whatever, we let them out early. It depends. Like, one of the things that the state has been doing lately is letting out criminals earlier than they should. And what happens is they get out,
non-violent criminals.
Okay, nonviolent criminals, sure. Maybe someone's just stalking a woman and they break into her house, but they didn't actually hurt her. So they arrest him, but then they let him out and he goes back and kills her. Right? In my opinion, that is a failure of the state. They allowed this woman to be murdered by letting this criminal back out to go do this thing. Right? And it happens way more than we accidentally kill the wrong person, okay? Way more. This happened in the UK. There was a woman that was getting stalked, called the police over and over again, had restraining orders, went through all the steps. The guy finally broke into her house and murdered her, right? Everyone's like, oh, the system failed her. Yes, 100% it did. Not only was she not allowed to have guns in that country, so she couldn't reasonably defend herself, but then the government didn't even defend her. Even though she had a restraining order, the restraining order lady in general, there was a huge case where police basically in our country have no legal obligation to protect you. And this is constitutional law, Supreme Court shit, where a lady had a restraining order against a man, called the police, said he's here, he's trying to get in the house. They didn't come. He took her children, killed them, raped her. I don't remember exactly how bad it was. She tried to sue saying that the government didn't protect her, right? So anyway, all that happens all the time. And then we talk about what if
that does not happen all the time. That's a one-off.
The black people you think in your head are fucking crazy.
It seems ironic,
Dollar, for God's sake, man.
It seems ironic to somebody that seems to lean more to the right voice, that you would be happy giving the state all this power, knowing that they're going to inevitably be killing an innocent person here and there, but yet, you know, you're so outraged that somebody that we thought had served their time and was reformed, you know, they commit a crime again, and I don't understand why.
I'm just saying it's murder either way.
It makes you feel better morally knowing that the state might
an innocent
kill somebody
person dies
who's
either way.
innocent because the
An
state
innocent
did
person
it?
dies either way. If someone is let out and they kill someone, then the state let that happen, right? If somebody is killed and the jury was wrong and they're exonerated, then the state let that happen. Either way is an innocent person dying. Okay, but you know what happens more often is this side, where the state's letting people out and they're killing, and they're like, "Whoops!"
Person who's had their life, you know, taken away
Yes,
from
correct. But the argument here is that the death penalty is
what if somebody's arrested and goes to jail for reckless endangerment for speeding too much, and then they go back out and they kill somebody with a handgun? What if they go out and they kill somebody with reckless endangerment?
Look, I'm not opposed to people serving their sentences or whatever, but your rehabilitation idea is the problem that I have, because if you quote unquote, you said like it's not a sure thing.
Murder them.
Well, no, I'm not saying just
murder
murder
them. When you're like, look, this guy killed 5 babies, but we've given him cognitive therapy.
Literally, I'm asking you if somebody is driving with reckless endangerment and they're arrested, should they stay in jail because they might exit and kill somebody?
We have sentencing guidelines; those should be adhered to.
I guarantee you that there's more people who are going out from their guidelines and killing people than there are that are staying in and killing people.
We have sentencing guidelines. People shouldn't be held beyond the sentences, their lengths, whatever.
But where honestly, do you get the sentences from?
The law, the legal system. We define those.
Okay,
that's what
so
we do.
You just take that for granted.
No, we vote on it. We put people in charge. We elect them. We say, let's vote on these things. And that's how we come up with those things.
You want one particular kind of sentencing change.
No, you disagree with the death penalty. I'm just saying it's justified.
You literally
sometimes.
want one particular kind of sentencing change because you're complaining about the sentencings where people are being let out after serving a period of time in jail. You're like, well, they keep getting out and killing people. They never should have been let out. So your concern is for the sentencing guidelines themselves, except only in this one circumstance.
I wanted you to be
else,
concerned.
You're just like, well, they do it.
I wanted you to be concerned about both sides because you're only worried about one. What if the state executes somebody? That's so terrible. We should never do that. But what if we let them out and then they kill innocent people? Well, that's fine.
And what if
sometimes they don't get rehabilitated
what if they
right.
serve their time and go kill somebody because they, again, committed reckless endangerment by driving 30 over?
What if we get rid of the death penalty? Okay, so this person that would have been killed no longer gets it. Then they get out and they kill more
What if we
people.
let them out and then they become an EMT and then save a bunch of people's lives?
Then do we put all that together?
That's great. I love it. I love it. That's great.
Put
Put all this together.
Yes,
right. So now imagine. So what if you went to execute the person in your said method, and it was an innocent citizen, and you've just now killed that man, and in doing so, now the actual would-be killer is also still free to go and kill people, so they will then now be twice as much as you have imagined in terms of casualties.
So this really just seems to come down to a problem with the justice system. Like, we either believe in it or we don't, right? And you have to like say the justice.
It's not an either or.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
either
not either
or.
or. The justice system makes mistakes, but we need one, right? Do we want to get rid of the justice system? No,
Hey,
correct.
so do you know
So
what
then
the
we
word
accept that it's
improvement
flawed,
means?
right? Because it's
So
human.
you know what the
we
word
have to accept
improvement
it.
means?
Yes. So what I'm saying is, for example, the guy that killed George Floyd, right? Dollar will like this one. He's in jail because the jury decided that he was guilty. What if he wasn't? Oh my gosh, we've put the wrong person in jail. Maybe we should just let him out. What if he could be rehabilitated? He was a police officer. How many lives did he save? Maybe
What
he saved
if
more
he
than he
could
killed. Right?
Rehabilitated.
Like,
What
maybe
if
we
he
should
could go
let him
back
out.
to
Maybe the jury was
his-
wrong. Maybe
what-
the justice system is flawed.
Well,
Obviously,
right.
it's strong,
Maybe
man. No amount
maybe
of
George
good
Floyd had a
deeds can
spontaneous
cancel
heart
out
attack, and we found that out. You know what? There's a lot of right-wing rhetoric about how that's exactly what happened. It was George
know.
Floyd who put a gun against a woman's belly after he did a bunch of fentanyl, and that's why he had a heart attack. That's dumb.
Yeah,
but
it
it's
is
also
dumb.
the rhetoric
We
being
should execute those
used.
police, right?
A right wing story, though. Like
We like to find a good middle ground for everything, where we all
Yeah.
just agree and
You're right.
disagree.
Yeah, the
and it's
middle
just-
Well, I think we agree, boys. I think we agree that the death penalty.
Not everything is racism,
irreversible.
Dala. There's a lot more
I
to
think we
to
agree
life than that.
When you kill somebody,
That
a state
story is
kills
racist.
somebody, it's
Okay.
irreversible.
Guys, settle down, settle down.
And it's wrong.
Okay, one at a time. You get like, there we go.
Fantastic.
Infamous, go for it.
Oh
Yeah,
God,
sorry.
I'm
If you're on the camera, then it's your turn. At least for now.
that is me. Man, there's so much. I'm not prepared. Go to somebody else and come back to me, please.
I love you, Infamous. I love you so much. I don't need to talk either. I've said
Okay, there we
enough.
go. You
Someone else
guys,
can go.
cool. I'm sorry I yelled at everyone. But
Not
that's there
Dolo.
you go.
Turn the camera away from him. I'm just kidding, Dolo. I
Actually,
love
I'll
you.
talk.
There we go, cool.
Yeah, you know, in the eyes of rehabilitating, wouldn't it be more effective for someone to go to jail instead of just sitting there for 25 years, doing menial labor and coming out still much as fucked up? They go through programs, actually maybe have any fucking attitude or mental issues addressed through therapy and not some brain controlled chip that you're gonna blow out your ass. No, actual therapy and sessions. They become productive. That's addressing when they're ready to get out, instead of them trying to run around and look for a job and be held back because they have a felony. They're actually put into a program where they can get out and get back on their feet again. Make the 25 years of service productive rather than just popping off the death penalty everywhere.
Yeah, I love everything about what you just said. The only thing I would say is I think that you might change your mind if they killed your whole family. That'd just be my pitch. Then you might not care.
Again, we're talking about revenge instead of what's best for society. You'll change your tune if, again, it's an appeal to revenge. Why are we continuing talking about revenge, voice? Why are you not capable of having an honest conversation?
I mean, sometimes it's warranted and justified. I mean, they hung
you're not
Saddam
capable.
Hussein.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, Infamous is ready to go. He's on the table. If the camera's on you,
I don't want to murder anybody.
So you guys were asking me earlier. So it's not about revenge. It's and it sucks, and I hate that this is the way it is. But there are people out there who are not like the rest of us, who are horrible, and they're mean, and they will kill, and they're just nasty people.
And if we gave them chelation therapy and an antipsychotic so they no longer had those problems.
Do you think that people, like, they wouldn't just release those people? They go through a board, like, of people who evaluate them psychologically to see, like, if they're ready to be dispersed into society. You're not going to have
acknowledge not everybody can be rehabilitated,
but not only that,
right?
but people in prison who are murderers and who are like predators and oh my god, they usually kill other people in prison. So it's like literally
another
they would
argument for
lock
killing
the
them.
Wow.
For
no,
killing
no,
them.
no, 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 no.
They kill other people in prison, so it's
No.
okay. We'll figure it out. You
They're
know,
killing pedophiles.
That's crazy.
Well, no, eventually they go to
And
prison.
we're against the death penalty, but if you're
Hold
killing
on,
pedophiles in prison, it's good.
hold on. Her argument
I'm
was
not
not that's okay. Her argument was you're going to know who those people
Yeah,
are
you're gonna-
because they're
before
going
they
to
get
kill
into
somebody,
society.
and then you put them in.
That's how I like to find out who they are. Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I'm an elementary school teacher. I'm just gonna say that, and I work in a really rough school. And there are kids that I have watched grow up, knowing that they're going to be killers, and then they've killed. And I'm like, I wish we would have done something,
So
but you can't do
poverty has
anything until they do kill. And it's
So
11
Infamous
killing
believes
it.
that some of the people he encounters are inhuman and should be executed.
I don't
Is this
believe
correct?
that's what he said.
Is that what I said?
Just walk into the
That's
store
what I
with a gun
heard.
and start
Did I
processing.
say
If
what I
I
heard,
misunderstood
too.
you, if I misunderstood you, that's why I'm
Do
asking.
you believe
is
that
correct?
evil exists?
I'm really like,
Not.
I
I'm
believe you're
thinking
not
no.
on the screen and you're just about to
Okay.
be gone.
Jeez. That sounds like something that.
All right,
There
that's
we
it.
go.
fuck it. Like,
Good
like
lord.
Perfect.
he
Oh,
ran
the
away.
other guy ran away.
it just yeah, I guess it's like no. If it's Noah or Voice of Reason, expect brain dead racist
those
arguments.
two.
Yeah,
oh my
no,
god.
what's up with your
Neither are
brain dead
capable
racist
of arguing
arguments?
a good
No, I
faith.
mean if anything, those types of people belong in
Nice to
rooms
see
where they'll
you,
be dragged
Dr.
on
Sayers.
miserably.
You
We're
too.
actually trying to do something productive in here.
You
Yes,
guys
that's
got to
true.
get a waiting list to
100%,
get in here. By the way,
100% with those two. I'm
Well, you
surprised
know, this
mentioned
is,
Noah.
you know what we need to do? Put it on the description, either ldpvr.com
Hey,
or
Sleek.
teachprogress.org. That way people can know to go there to
Good to
see
see you,
the
too.
Sure.
stream.
Absolutely.
Not surprised if I
as
voiced
far as
know
the racist insinuation that
No,
yeah,
I don't think it was an insinuation.
well, yeah, I
So
mean,
Noah's here too.
Dollar Bill did imply.
I don't think it was an
Okay.
implication
Oh,
either.
No, it
straight up,
wasn't,
like
dude.
yeah, like okay.
He straight up
No,
said it.
Okay, so yeah, I got a butt earlier tonight because a lady named Misfit. If you guys know her, maybe you don't.
We do, so
she
that doesn't look good for you. I wouldn't say.
yeah, Tiba, his room, he had a technical difficulty and the room went dead and there was a silence and I asked Misfit why she heckled me when I came in there and she explained several things and accusations, but ultimately said that that I was a racist person and it really yeah, like I said, it bothered me quite a bit that she said that. So I don't envision myself as a racist person, but it sure did bother me in a way that was noticeable by people who are mutual friends between me and Misfit, like Quest. He wanted to try to moderate it and come to some kind of agreement between
No,
the two.
what'd you say that was racist? Just tell us so I can tell you why you were racist and make you feel better.
So the way it was expressed to me was that she said that I was speaking on the behalf of black people and telling them to quote just get over it. Now, I think that's pretty precisely what she said. I think that was like a pretty
Okay, hey Noah, do you think they should get over slavery? It's been a few hundred years.
I think that's a yes.
Whoa, that's called a dumbfounding.
Oh,
so you understand why she may think that's
Dr.
what you're
Sayers.
saying.
Dr. Sayers.
You may understand that's why she thinks that's what you're saying, right, Noah? Because you are.
Okay. I think that she was recounting a more nuanced conversation that we had the previous night.
I can't handle this. I'm sorry.
Same conclusions with you, man.
All right. I think what I was trying to express that she was referring to is that the best path forward, the most expedient path forward for the people who are suffering because of racism would be to just engage in a way where they're not expecting to be treated any differently than anybody else. If ultimately what they wanted was for them to reach the same equal platform as everyone else, realistically, I think that is how they would do it.
Yeah, yeah. If you're in a society and everyone can do everything that anyone else can do, because we're all just like computer programmers, but some people are in wheelchairs, and society has built a bunch of stairs. There's people in wheelchairs that are expected to crawl their asses up the fucking stairs while dragging the goddamn wheelchair behind them. Yeah? And you know what? Some of them do. And they make it to work every day, right? And other people are like, man, this is bullshit. And you're like, you know what? We just need to treat you like people with legs. That's how we help you. Does that make sense? Is that the right way to do that?
I mean, that's...
Is it? No, just in that case, because I wanted to get to a principle as to whether or not you're saying everyone who has any sort of barrier against them needs to always act like everyone else and we should just treat them the same. Or are you making exceptions, and then we can get to your reasons for exemptions? Because I, for one, believe that everywhere should be wheelchair accessible if at all possible.
I really strongly believe that black people, the
wheelchair thing. We're asking about the wheelchair.
Yeah, who brought up white people? Yeah. Who brought up black people?
This is not an analogy. This is not an analogy. This is a literal, real question.
I'm not trying to say that you think that they're
buildings have ramps to give people wheelchair accessibility.
Well, obviously,
No, it's not obvious to me. That. Okay, great. So you believe that, and you believe that because
their legs don't work.
Okay. And that's something we should help them with. Why?
Because their legs don't work. I think this isn't a good analogy.
No. That's a tautology. Why do we want to help them?
It's the right thing to do.
The right thing to do because they're suffering from something that is, I'll put words in your mouth, something out of their control. Do we agree?
That's fair. I see where you're going with that. That's fair.
Okay. So now you see where I'm going with when I talk about people who are suffering from systemic racism, who are suffering from not having equal opportunities to education, who are suffering from a criminal justice system that criminalized their fathers and put them in jail. Yeah? You see where I'm coming from?
Rather than equality.
Yes.
Okay.
Acknowledge all of those things. My issue is the progress that we're making is slow. It's slower than it should be. There's a better way.
Well, this is different. This is a different question. And let's talk about the Mott and Bailey real quick. A Mott and Bailey is... go ahead and read it, Mirko.
Yes. One
Actually,
second. Here we
Noah,
go
ahead and read this. Read this slide, Noah.
Oh, jeez. Mate and Bailey. Never heard of that before. But
Mott and Bailey.
Looking forward to...
Sure.
Mate
I thought
Bailey.
you would know.
I mispronounced everything.
No, it's fine. No worries. Sorry, just...
Yeah.
I'm going to scoot forward. All right.
Yeah, the French and...
Invisibly going from indefensible to agreeable. Invisibly going from indefensible to agreeable. A debate tactic where someone defends a difficult to defend position but retreats to a different, easy to defend idea when challenged. Saying Nike makes the best shoe, then switching to say they are popular when challenged.
So remember, your claim was we should treat black people and white people completely colorblind. And then when challenged, you said, I'm just saying we're not making enough progress on race. Now, the colorblind argument is one that people have all the time. It's a perfectly reasonable thing to have discourse on. I feel like you thought that I had nailed you on it, and so you wanted to retreat from it, and all you said is, all I'm saying is we're not making enough progress in race. Everyone agrees that we're not making enough progress in race, unless you're racist. So you retreated to a place that's anti-racist to defend what I think was clearly pointed out was just as bigoted against black people as saying we shouldn't have wheelchair ramps for people who are paraplegic.
I don't think that. I don't think you explained to me how your position fixes the slow progress. I feel like I understand how treating each other as equals, regardless of skin color, would expedite their progress to getting to where
Sure,
they should have
Noah.
been a long time ago.
What are some other things that could expedite that, from your perspective?
I think that everything that you outline and want to occur is what is holding them back.
Okay, so you're in agreement with everything else that I may have pointed out.
Well, I just think that people need to be treated as equal, even if it doesn't work out in the short term to the outcome that you want. Ultimately, that is, in my opinion, the best solution.
Should pregnant women be treated like not pregnant women and men when they need time off for giving birth?
Yeah,
Is that how we solve sexism?
I think that that thing that you're talking about is a problem that we created that never needed to exist, and
Right, because women didn't have to work. Now, here's how you do solve the problem, Noah, and maybe this will enlighten you as to what we do. We don't become blind to what women need. We make sure that men also have that benefit. So when you have an American system, even in companies where there's maternity leave, women lose their career trajectory because they take that time off. But if you require men to also take that time off, now everyone gets time with their children, and it no longer harms your career trajectory. Because now a man who has a child at home is just born can say, well, I'm going to work. Oh, look at that team player. Oh, he's really going places, and he's a family man. And that helps him move up. But if everyone has to take that time off, it's no longer a sacrifice a man especially gets to make. So do you see how you can make small changes that make it so that everyone has an equal opportunity?
Dr. says,
because you asked me to address your question, why aren't we making so much progress? Shouldn't we ignore people's race so that we can make more progress? And I'm answering, no. We should understand what special problems everyone has so that they can have an equal opportunity and then give everyone that kind of support if at all possible.
We all have special problems. It's not the government to decide which problems matter and cater to them and put the government.
No, I thought that solving racial issues was a problem. I thought we really wanted to solve those racial issues. Bro pretended that his headset died.
Now it's the anti-big government argument?
Yeah. No, he's gone. Wait.
I don't know if can you hear me?
Hear so? Because his mouth is just running for me. This is not a metaphor. Like literally, just.
I know.
Oh, there we go. That was not me. That is him crashing or leaving.
It has to be like a form of willful, ignorant racism that he just wants to keep going. Because we've argued him to the point where he cannot say anything, and then he's like, "Well, I'm being called racist because I'm white."
Well, the problem, Dala, is that we can't break through with Noah in particular because he runs rooms with the intention of figuring out how to make these arguments, right? It's like we're not going to have a breakthrough with Septic Salad either, right? He's like intentionally here to do this. Most people, on the other hand, are having a conversation. And I thought it was a really good example of Mott and Bailey. I think we very rarely get to see that, notice it in the wild.
I think for weeks now we've been like, if only we could just make him read Mott and Bailey.
Yes. And he then proceeded to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the most beautiful response to Noah, and I've seen him in several rooms now so far, so really well done.
And he is incapable, by my observations of him, to have a argument in good faith.
He is, though, very, very good at establishing. So this rule that you have to establish that I'm not here to kill you and you're not here to kill me, right? That emotional, like, he puts out the olive branches. He makes it seem like a normal conversation. He talks about how much he appreciates talking to you, even after he's gish galloped away, right? So he's really good, really good at that. And I think we can all learn something from what feels very slimy here. And that is he's being effective at getting his ideas out there and getting people on his side because he's not engaging in those things that would radicalize people against him. Unless, of course, we can think rationally and see right through what he's doing. Then we realize he's actually engaged in numerous of these radicalization tactics, just not the ones that would radicalize people against him. It's really quite brilliant. I'm not sure he isn't being...
Well, last night I ended up calling him out for being a coward, for not having the courage of conviction to just say he's racist. And that wasn't as effective, but it sure felt good to say it to his face.
This is the difficulty. It takes time for us to accept. Here's the thing, though, Lucky, and to everyone else, and I do not mean this as a slight to Noah, but you're a better man than he is. So you don't need to let yourself be angry at him because he's intentionally choosing to be a lesser person when it comes to his own thoughts. He saw this. He knows what he's doing, and he's choosing to do that. If you choose rationality, you're choosing a better path, and you do not have to be upset with the people who have chosen the path of emotional cheating, lying, radicalization. You don't need to be upset with those people because some of that's somebody's friend, and then the other people that are friends with that person will be like, "Oh no, you're pushing my friend away." You need to let them push their friend away, right? That's the only path that succeeds. And yeah, I understand. It's really, really cathartic to yell at these people.
Well, yeah, it was, and I don't regret it. But honestly, at the time, I was like questioning like how effective the Socratic method and using like reason is, because it is just it feels like coddling them through a basic conversation where they're not arguing in good faith at all ever, and it
That's
feels
right.
just kind of like trolling. But
that's why we killed this other guy.
Right, but seeing you work,
No, we gave
what
him the
you
death
did there
penalty.
was
No.
so effective. So it's kind of restored my faith a bit in methodology. So thank you.
Well,
I needed to see that.
I believe in you and your ability to use these methods as well. That's why I'm running the room, not so I can argue with Noah, but so that everyone who wants to engage in de-radicalization can see it done and practice. So next person, let's let Murkov or Jazz and Salik jumped in for that. That
and
was
if
fantastic.
you want to feel
Anyone that wants to
better
volunteer.
about yourself, he is in another debate room, so it's like his headset did not die. Okay, which is
right. Of course
yeah.
not. Of course not.
Okay,
Yeah, he
cool.
went to another debate room.
Let's see. Do we have any news articles? Any topics we want to talk about? Anything that might be relevant? Anything, fun? We also have the board of any like controversial ideas that aren't too crazy. Like we shouldn't
tattoos
be. Yeah,
are tattoos feminine?
Ooh, that's an interesting.
Depends on the tattoo.
I don't know. Think about it. Art you put on your body to enhance your aesthetic and outwardly express yourself. I don't know. Sounds kind of feminine to me.
It's true. I mean, I
there's nothing more manly.
I see a huge increase in women with tattoos, especially my age.
Yeah.
Like, I got a tattoo.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, if you want some facts, between the ages of 18 and 30, the demographic of women that have tattoos is, I believe, 52%, while men are only at about 25.
Ooh.
So those fine line tattoos where they use like just one needle and they make really detailed art, that does seem more feminine. And also, it's going to spread and it's going to widen out because that's how tattoos work over time.
Yeah, it's gonna look like shit.
Do you
They get
think that
fuzzy.
it's very feminine for men to tattoo the back of their calves because that's seeking attention? To have you look at their legs?
I don't think that's feminine.
Personal question. I think it's
Yeah.
how they take it. Is this feel feminine on me? Does it feel masculine? Does
That's
it matter
right.
if it's either?
That's right. I would feel very pretty if I had a fine line tattoo.
Maybe I want a feminine tattoo. Maybe I also want a masculine tattoo. And that's
Yeah, you could get barbed wire with mom on it. Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
we have an imagination.
Yeah.
I love that topic.
I have
Killer
a
choice
topic
of
if to see if this is interesting. So I've been grazing sort of rooms where people are talking politics, and the thing about the right wing, it seems like virtually every right wing person, when they engage in a debate, does the whole routine. It's almost like a kabuki ritual of mispronouncing Kamala Harris's name. And no matter how you try to fix it and you try to fix it and it doesn't work. And
Didn't you just say
I
that?
don't know. Like, what do you think about that? Like,
I think it's a
because
sign
I
of
do call Trump an orange bag of shit, and I don't consider that to be
That's actually how he
equivalent.
identifies.
Orange bag of shit.
Yeah, that's how he identifies. He just prefers to be called that.
But seriously, I mean, I know I'm doing like a false equivalency because I do call him that, and yet I get offended when all these right wingers mispronounce Kamala Harris' name, and it is like one of these dog
here's
whistle kind
Richard.
of things.
I'd like you not to get offended, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, go ahead.
I won't let you guys respond, but I saw this fellow. It was an interview in the most neutral city in Wisconsin. And it was a guy. He said, well, I voted Trump twice, but this time I think we need a change. I'm going to vote Carmella.
Carmella, huh?
Okay, we need the vote of people who think her name is Carmella. All right, so I get it.
But they might not see it on the
that's not
ballot
the
and
same
fill it in.
thing. And see, that guy who called her Carmella was not doing the whole dog whistle thing. He just
That's
was
correct.
mangling
He was just a
the
confused
name.
old man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
The people that mispronounce her name in these conversations, it's this dog whistle thing. And I don't know, I find it so disrespectful. And yet, am I a hypocrite because I can't, the orange bag of shit, it's hard for me to say his real name because I loathe him so much. So I don't know if is that hypocrisy?
Sure. If you think that people running for president deserve respect, I don't. But, I don't think that anyone who's incited an insurrection against our nation deserves our respect.
If you're
And
going
if that's a hot take, I don't think it's a political take, and it ought not to be a political take. And whoever made that a political take is the radical. Okay.
So you're saying I should stop giving them a hard time about mispronouncing Kamala's name, or?
But they're meaning
do
to
you
be
have this big of an
disrespectful and
emotional
demeaning,
response
just like
when
you're
someone
kind of
says
meaning to
something
be
like
disrespectful and
Gavin
demeaning with your
Newsom?
name for Trump.
I'm sorry. Could you? As two people were
Yeah,
talking.
when they mispronounce her name, they're meaning to be disrespectful and
Correct.
demeaning.
Right.
And I think when you don't use Trump's name, you're meaning to be disrespectful and demeaning.
Right, that's true. So it's the same. So I'm a
the same.
hypocrite. I am a little bit of a hypocrite.
Well, if
That's
you're
right.
gonna expect them to then turn around and provide her with a different level of respect that you're providing, then you're gonna have a bad time.
I will say that I would agree to a circumstance that we could say I promise to say his name correctly if you promise to say her name correctly.
I think that's
I
fair.
would agree to those terms.
And I think
wouldn't.
if you
Sorry.
want to have healthy discussions about politics, then you need to do it in a quote respectful way, because when you use disrespectful language by calling people idiots or calling them stupid, or it just stops this flow of conversation. If the whole point is to debate, you need to be able to hear the other person and at least have that level of respect when you're talking to them.
Yeah, but also I would try and go after for policies. Like, for me, that's way more important, is for them to realize that the policies themselves are negative. And that it's because
but I was zooming
some
in
people,
a particular thing. This whole thing
Right,
of
but
the
no
name.
one's gonna hear that
I even learned a
calling you
name
orange
for it. It's
bag of
called a
shit or whatever you called
shibboleth. You know, when you do that kind of dog whistle, it's like this thing called a shibboleth. It's from biblical times, you know. So I was like zooming in on that particular thing because it does bother me when they mispronounce her name.
And it
You
makes
know,
you
and
less
I know
likely to
they
listen
do
to
it
them, doesn't it?
to irritate me. You know, I actually there is a difference. Like when I call Trump a orange bag of shit, I'm actually not doing it to irritate them. I'm doing it because
jack-o'-lantern
it's
special?
It's just an expression of truth.
But
to
you
me.
know
It's easier than saying
Yeah.
he's
Like,
you know
let's be real.
fascist, he's a murderer, he's a
Yeah.
rapist, or he's not a murderer that we know of, but he's a fascist, he's a rapist, he's a fraudster, he's a con man. So it's easier, I think, to just pick something that rolls off your tongue, Richard. We should also be careful, I think, about the false equivalency. You can be critical of Kamala Harris or Donald Trump's political stances on different issues. But to say that it's in the same category to repeatedly and intentionally mispronounce Kamala Harris's name, that say that that's in the same category as just picking a name to describe what Trump demonstrably has done and is advocating for, I think those are kind of different. In the case of repeatedly mispronouncing Kamala Harris's name, I think that's more of trying to assert some sort of dominance over people, which seems to be a very widespread practice in the MAGA verse. It ties together, I think, the homophobia and the misogyny into femtophobia, which is basically criticizing anything that isn't masculine enough, or dominant enough for somebody, and it goes into lots of categories. I'll finish this comment by saying that I think I know now why Voice seemed to not be as concerned about the state executing an innocent person than somebody getting out of prison and killing an innocent person. His deference to authority and his preference for dominating others.
Yeah, definitely. And I was going to say that I think a lot of the reason why they mispronounce her name is to kind of otherize her. To be like, she doesn't have an American first name.
Right, she's foreign.
She's clearly foreign, so, she's not what you expect. Which, that is offensive, yeah. That's not justified.
Never attribute to malice
Like a
what
form
can
of
easily be
alienation.
attributed to stupidity.
That's true. I cannot say her name to save my life, so I just say Harris. So, there's a solution. Let's...
And her name is Kamabla.
Yeah.
Kamabla.
Carmela. I like Carmela.
Carmela.
Mhm.
Carmela?
I do love caramel, so Carmela works well.
Well, they can't say "Let's go, Brandon" anymore, so they need some other.
At some point,
to use.
even when I still liked Joe Biden, I was in my back of my head calling him Joe Brandon. Just because it was so catchy. It really was. It was just like, oh well. Cool. Anyone else have any other hot takes or grievances, or maybe conversations they had during the week? I think we had a couple of those earlier. of just like how to like your experiences in trying to de-radicalize people in big screen.
I wanted to come here and make up.
Wait, that wasn't.
Well, you're
Nope.
gonna have to get better makeup on.
Everyone loves makeup.
That was quick on the gun. Nice.
Yeah.
Mirko's an expert.
Yes.
And can I ask
More
how
like
many
Merc
of you all believe that she
It's
is
true.
black?
Are you?
Wait.
What?
Sorry,
the
we didn't
hell?
hear what the hell was going on.
I didn't hear that.
What was the? Can you please repeat that? I didn't
She
hear.
asked how many of us actually believe
How many
she's
of-
black.
What does black mean?
That's a good.
No, I mean, do you believe that she is an African?
I can't tell you whether or not I believe that
As a
until I
white
understand
man,
the question
I can
you're
say
asking.
she's pretty dark, so yeah, she black.
Yeah, did she suffer from systemic racism where people identified her as black and treated her as lesser than because of it? Yeah.
I mean, but her
Did
father
she-
is Jamaican. I can't go to Jamaica and claim that I'm Jamaican.
Are you
know that most of the
confused?
Jamaicans
Holy
were
crap.
slaves that had come
Okay.
from-
No, I'm
Occam's
So-
razor,
no, I'm
Occam's
just
razor.
saying
This
that.
is a-
And how about
she's
Obama?
half-
Was Obama
she's
black?
half-
Was Obama black?
I don't. Obama's not black. He's African.
Okay, great. So, Trash, that's why I asked. Why? Cash. Cash? Sorry, I can't. I'm dyslexic.
I'm not trash. It's retash.
No, I understand. I literally am dyslexic. I am nothing but intentionally being respectful to you. So, that's why I asked what you mean by black. Who thinks she's black? Well, you have the right to decide what you think black is, and I will listen to you. So why don't you define for us what you think black is?
Someone who has gone through the racism here in United States, whose parents
think
have
she
been
has?
enslaved or has gone through, someone who is a descendant of a slave.
Great. Why do you think black people were in Jamaica? Wait. Why do you think black people were in Jamaica?
What do you mean? Why do I believe black
Where did
people?
they come
They were dropped off there from Africa. But I'm just
We're
saying,
not dropped off there from Africa. They were
dropped.
enslaved there before black people
Still,
were
they
enslaved in
still-
the
they
American
were still
colonies.
dropped off.
They were
on a ship. They were on a
put
ship,
into
and they were
Okay,
brought there.
but Josh, you said whose parents had someone that was like enslaved. So her black father was in fact from a family who was enslaved.
But only those here in the United States put the word black. You know what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
believe that's the case.
Because I can't go to Jamaica and say that I'm black. You go to Jamaica and say that you're Jamaican. If you're living there in Jamaica, then you're Jamaican.
What about the Irish slaves?
And
They
so,
were
Tosh,
slaves,
this is an important question. This is an important point. This is an important point. No. The question of like, is this person black or are they Jamaican? That is how you're saying like, where do people come from? That is internal to them, and you're claiming internal to her. She does not have African American descent. I get that. However, there's another side to blackness that isn't, do you have specifically African American descent? And that side of blackness, as you pointed out, is do you descend from a family who suffered the horrors of slavery? That leads to a difference in the way your family has to deal with generational trauma. And that is shared with the African American community.
It's more than
Furthermore,
just slavery, though.
Furthermore, being raised, having skin that identifies you as black to other people who treat you differently because of it, puts you in the same class of people in that you've had that experience as well. So, when you are suffering from a system of oppression that is in part because of where your family's from, in part because of what your family's gone through, and in part because of what other people treat you like today, Kamala Harris has 2 out of 3 of those. And as you point out, her family did not come from the same kind of oppression that they had in Jamaica as they have in the United States. In the same way you say Barack Obama isn't black, because he had a father that was Kenyan, not African American. So certainly, Tash, if you would like to make sure that you police what black is to the point where it must be somebody who was only of descendants that only came from African Americans, you're going to be in very short company because there's a lot of blending out there.
No, I'm saying it's not just enslavement.
No, I also said that. Literally, that was my rant. It was about how there are many different factors, and she meets 2 out of 3 of them.
The thing
Are you not both
jumps
American
into my
and black? Can you not also be Jamaican and black?
I think the point towards his comment is that your geological origination
Her father's Jamaican.
origin has
black.
right
You
no
don't go to
relevance
Jamaica
towards
and
your
say
actual
that you're
ethnicity.
black.
But those
Look,
are
there are some
things, though.
there are some
You're American
aspects of
and black.
ethnicity that come from where your parents and your grandparents came from. In the same way, there's aspects of ethnicity that come from people that were Irish versus German. There are aspects of ethnicity that come from being Jamaican. There are aspects of ethnicity that come from being a northern black or a southern black. There were black people in the north and that weren't enslaved. Those people are still African American, or do they not count as black either?
They're not black.
Great. And there are also northern people who are part of the Underground Railroad. They escaped southern slavery. Do they count as black?
I see where you're going with this. I have I have the right to be entitled to my opinion, and
Whoa. I didn't say you're not entitled to your opinion. In fact, I said I respect your opinion entirely. I just wanted to understand the basis by which you were making these judgments, and I'm continuing to ask your basis. And now I think you do see where I'm going with it, but at the same time, I really do want to understand if you've thought through those things and what the boundary conditions are.
Only in the United States do we put the emphasis on being black. Only here in the United States. In any place else in the world, nobody is calling you black.
Well, white supremacy has been exported throughout the world.
What?
Yeah, Ritash, do you think that during Jim Crow, when they had separate water fountains and then they had like whites only restrooms, do you think that the people who made those signs
Can we reconsider the divorce, Mirko, please?
Do you think that they would have been okay with somebody of Jamaican ethnicity going into the white restrooms?
I believe you're missing my point.
I think
no, because we're talking about like discrimination.
Because only
and
right, but that only exists here. With
what?
I'm only talking about the word being black and being identified as being black. Once again, I can't go to Kenya. I can't go to Kenya and say that I'm black. They're gonna
in
they
the
automatically
UK,
know
did they
that I'm
call
not
them something
Kenyan.
else? Call people something else that were
I just don't get
African
If I go to
or
Kenya,
Jamaican?
they would
Like I don't
automatically know
understand
that
what you're
I'm not
talking
Kenyan.
about. You're saying there wasn't discrimination against black people, like anywhere else inside the United States, and you
do know
didn't
that
answer
I
my
am black.
question
You
about
do
the
know that,
separate
right?
water fountains.
We took for granted that you're presenting yourself authentically.
Okay, I just didn't want you to think that I'm something that I'm not.
So Tash,
Yeah,
the
that'd be a real
question
bad
that
feeling,
Sleek's
wouldn't it?
getting at is, do you think that when it comes to growing up as a little girl in America, Kamala Harris suffered from other people treating her as less than because of the color of her skin?
I don't think that she was treated. I think she was treated a hell of a lot better than I was. Because
Well,
of the
Tash,
color of her skin.
because you have darker maybe skin, is that what you're saying? Like because she's half Indian, so she had lighter skin, so you think she was treated better, or what?
She's got lighter skin. Her hair texture is different. I mean, because if she did not sit in the sun, I believe that she would present a lot lighter than what she is.
I'm waiting for a fucking argument to kick off, but they've been.
Do you think a racist person might think she's black?
Good point.
A racist person would say that she's black.
So she would face the same discrimination a black person would face because
Well,
the
if
racist people
if
would
you're
mistake her
racist,
for
of
being
course.
black, right?
Elder.
So it's safe to say that she probably did face discrimination from racist people then, right?
I don't believe it was as harshly.
And
I mean,
and
she
what
may have
is it?
faced some. She may have faced some discrimination, but I don't
Yeah.
think it would have been to.
Dr. Sayers, take me back. I'm sorry I slept with.
Do you think the
That's called a
people that
switch.
she
I
went
only
to?
thought this happened in other rooms. I didn't think it only happened in here too.
Do you think the people she went to college with at Howard University thought she was black?
She looks Indian.
Well, I mean, you know, they call it a
doesn't- she doesn't look black. She
historically
looks
black
Indian.
college, right? They have a name for Howard University, and that type of college. It's a black, historically
Yeah,
black
she went
college.
to a HBCU. I know
Yeah,
that she
yeah.
Went to a
So don't you think she
Anybody-
didn't she fit
anybody
in?
can go- Anybody can
Cash,
go to an
cash, 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 cash.
AKAs.
Whoa. HBCUs are underfunded.
Yeah, but anybody,
HBCUs.
if you wanted to go, you could go too. If you have the money and you could pay.
I
to go.
literally went to one last winter when I was presenting and working with students on research. Tosh, an HBCU, anyone can go to, yes, but the reason that black people go to them is because they feel more comfortable because people of their own ethnicity are there, and unlike BYU, it's not incredibly racist there against them. So if Kamala Harris, who did very well on her exams and did very well in her classes and went to a very nice law school after her undergraduate education, said, you know, I could be going to Berkeley, but I'd rather go to a place that is historically black because that's where my people are. Do you think that that might mean she identified with and was part of that community?
I don't know why she chose to go to that school. I can't answer that.
It's underfunded. You go only because you know that you won't be discriminated
But
against because other people are of
Can
the
we let
same
Hollywood say
ethnicity there.
something real quick?
Can I also just say that the schools were created because we weren't allowed to attend your schools or attend
What?
white schools. That's
My
why
school.
That's why the colleges were created.
Is it Tash?
It's Retash.
Retash, okay, thank you. So she chose to go to an HBCU. She was selected by AKAs at the Alpha chapter at her school, which means she went through some extra scrutiny. Do you think that was all some ploy to act black later in life, or do you think they accepted her as a black woman back when she was in school? I'm trying to figure this all out because
She
I
looks
mean,
Indian to me.
she looks Indian, but the AKAs, Alpha Kappa Alpha, at the Alpha chapter selected her, chose her to be in their sorority. You don't think they didn't recognize her as, I mean, this is a historically black college. This is a
But
premier black sorority.
White people get that as well. If
Well, no, they don't. Well, that's the thing I'm trying to get
somebody
to.
white
Like,
decided to go to that school and wanted to pledge, they would be able to pledge.
I don't think so. I mean,
Yes, you can.
no, you can't.
Has that ever-
I'll tell you
has
right
that
now.
ever happened? Anyone know?
I don't go.
Okay,
I don't want to
because
go
it-
too much
it
into this.
happens-
I'm
it
a
happens
member of a
now.
black fraternity. I know how it all works out. For her to be accepted at the Alpha chapter, get what I'm saying now, at Howard, like she went through extra scrutiny. They thought she was a black woman. They accepted her as a black woman for this black sorority.
Okay.
Who's her dad?
Who's her dad?
Can I ask
What
you
nationality
something?
was her
I don't know if
dad?
that has to do with anything, but
It's definitely not John Biggs guy whose turn it is to talk.
I apologize for that, but he's black, right?
He's
Yes.
Jamaican.
He's Jamaican.
What? Well, that's
He's a
not
black Jamaican.
Okay.
No, you came a little late to the conversation. I
I'm
think.
sure that I
'Cause
have,
we
and I'll
covered
make
that.
a fool of myself. And you, oh, apologies. Go ahead.
Can I ask Retash something real quick? Hold on. Retash, what maybe I'm misunderstanding. What is the point that you're trying to make as far as like about her race and what is it that you're trying to get at? I'm sorry.
That's a great
My
question.
thing is that she's being labeled as being black.
And she has been labeled as being black her entire life.
But she is.
And you would like to kick her out.
So Ritash,
Other people labeled her that her entire life, and you would like to kick
Okay.
her out now.
So
Kick her out of where? I don't understand your kick her
You're
out.
trying to confiscate her end pass.
yeah, Ritash, my only concern is
I thought it was funny.
to the people the only to the people that being black matters to are the people that would judge her for it. To the rest of us, I could care what race she is. It doesn't matter to me. It's more of her policy and her stances on things that actually matter that I care about. That conversation was never, she never brought that conversation up in any of the debates, anything like that. That was the other side making a big deal. Oh, now she claims to be black. No one else that
I
actually
wasn't
cares
saying
about
that she's all of a sudden claiming to be black. I was just saying that she's Jamaican.
But I understand Jazz.
She's
is
absolutely not
under-
Jamaican. She's absolutely not Jamaican.
Well, she's half Jamaican.
She's American.
Jamaican. Let's be clear. Jamaican, American, and Jamaican are equally ethnicities because Jamaican is also a group of people who were enslaved and also a group of people who got freedom and also a group of people who are discriminated against and also a group of people who suffer from economic inequality. The difference is that Jamaica doesn't have any rights to vote ever in our elections, even though they're subject to what we tell them to do. So really, they're just part of the empire that doesn't have the right to vote. And now you're saying because her father is part of the empire but doesn't have the right to vote, he doesn't count as black enough. As far as I can tell, not having a right to vote in America is the blackest thing you can be.
Well said.
Yep.
Blue screen.
She's still there?
Oh yeah, I'm still here.
Man, you got to pre-drill that.
Not
hole
having
before
the
you
right,
screw it all
having
the
the
way
right
in.
to vote in America is the blackest thing that you could be. Is that?
I think I saw some steam there for a moment.
Okay, you're too drunk for this conversation, John. Every time.
Drink lots of water before you go to bed, John.
No. I will say this, and this is what I was alluding to earlier. For a woman to pledge AKA at the Alpha chapter at Howard, like I don't think you understand like the scrutiny that she had to go through. Like she was not faking anything. They accepted her as a black woman to be an AKA at the Alpha chapter at Howard. She chose to go to Howard. She chose to attempt to pledge AKA, and she was accepted. So I don't understand like this whole. She's not really black. I really don't
no
get it.
problem
Maybe I
with
missed
her
something.
going to that school. I never said anything about her going to the school.
Do you know where she grew up, by the way?
In Oakland.
No, I
Oh my
was
God.
gonna see if she knew.
Oh yeah.
I know that she born in Canada, maybe, raised in California.
No,
I don't know.
no.
Her mother.
It's absolutely
Sorry,
incorrect.
That's her mother. I apologize. Her mother. They lived in Canada and then they moved to the States. Not born there.
No, I think she was pretty much raised in Oakland, California, which is not a very white
Say
place.
California. I didn't
is
didn't mean to say that she was born in Canada. I meant to say that she spent some time in Canada and then they moved to the States.
Yeah, no, no.
1977 to 1981.
This is a bit
3
of a rabbit
years.
hole.
3 years in Canada pretty much makes you a Canadian, though. So you
That's
lose
true.
being black if you go to Canada. We all know that.
Yeah, Snoop Dogg's Canadian.
That's not what I said.
I want to know
That is
Retash's
not what I
background
said.
right now because
Really?
That's not what you said, but they are saying that if you grew up in Oakland, you are black, no matter what.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Isn't that right?
actually,
Isn't that exactly what you guys were implying, you fucking pieces of shit?
You're just yelling for no reason.
No, if you.
Or just yelling for no reason. No, I'm trying to get over the din of dipshits over here trying to say how stupid you fucking are.
You're gonna be okay.
Urethra.
Okay,
If you paid attention to her presentation, she pointed out that there was a rich part of Oakland. She didn't live in that part. She didn't live up in the hills. She was down in the part of Oakland that was for people that were getting by. People who didn't have the ability to buy a home, the renter class. That is to say, not rich. So yeah.
This is her house.
Did she? And now that is worth $3.5 billion in California.
Now,
today,
yes.
At the time.
Man, everything Penguin Hunter's saying about you guys is true. You're very overtly racist.
Yes.
What?
Okay, let's see.
Who's racist in this room right now? What?
Don't
That
feed
wasn't
the
me,
troll.
Richard.
Don't
The guy's gone.
the troll.
There seems to be one person obsessing over.
He's
gone, dude.
he came in to offset the stream so they could see it buzz around. It's great.
Well, Ritash,
No,
I
I
do have a
think-
question that doesn't follow that same line at all. If I could get it in, if she
I was
did
just saying,
satisfy,
I'm not obsessing.
I
over
didn't
her
say
race.
obsess.
Yeah,
Okay, so anyway, let me just get to my question. If she did satisfy your definition of what black is, would you then vote for her based on policy, or is there another issue? With
I never indicated not one iota who I was voting for.
No, I'm
Who you
asking.
voting
you.
for?
That's not what he asked you.
Yeah, but you.
Is there
you
any
are-
other
you
issue
are
outside of that?
assuming-
I'm not assuming that. I'm just asking because I don't know.
Okay, do you want to ask your question? Or
Oh, you don't have to answer, but
because I don't think
ask.
Ritash understood.
I was
what you were
asking if
Oh,
she
no,
did
I
satisfy your
I
definition of black,
understood.
would you
I
vote for her
understood
then,
completely.
or is there another underlying issue or issues that you have with her, or is it hinge upon on blackness?
I
Is
don't have an issue with
migration
her.
your biggest concern for
Okay,
this election?
that was my
I
question.
never,
Is there
I never
another
once
issue
said
with it?
that I had an issue.
We're not
with her.
asking what you said. We're asking you your belief.
I do not have an
what's your-
issue with the woman.
Well, you're you're answering a question I didn't ask, but
So
that's okay.
Tash, may
give up.
I follow up?
I don't have to follow that.
Is your concern because I'm punting around for your it was substitution error on our end, right? We're assuming that we have an answer to how you're going to vote simply because you're criticizing Kamala Harris, right? And we're making that mistake. So let me ask you this:
I'm not criticizing her. I just said that she's Jamaican. That's not a criticism.
She's
I
no more
never
Jamaican
criticized anything
than
about
I'm
her.
Norwegian.
Oh well,
Wait, I
she
didn't
definitely.
criticize her.
Okay, so
Sorry, guys, I
Tash,
just
do you know
joined.
that
Can
she
someone,
claims
like,
to be
fill me in
black?
here? Can someone fill me in here?
What do you mean she claims to be black?
She wrote in her memoir that she is black.
Okay.
Okay, so you're criticizing that claim.
That's what she put in her book, and that's what she put in her book.
Yes, and if a book is on your head, it's on your head, but it's not a response to my question.
If that's what she put in her book, if that's what she is, then that's what she is. If that's what she says she is.
Oh, okay. So then we agree. I thought maybe your concern was that there is a particular history of, for example, redlining, Jim Crow suffering, not having equal access to education, that Kamala Harris didn't go through, that other people in the African American community have gone through, and your concern is that she doesn't have that life experience and therefore does not represent the people who have gone through that life experience. I think that may have been your criticism.
I said to you before, all of the above. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Okay. And that's very understandable. I think that the fact is we have not had a president, and I don't know if we have anyone that's a senator, and I don't know if we have any representatives that have come from a background of either in the South where they're not allowed to have anything near an equal footing, or in the North where they're forced into ghettos so that the white people wouldn't be around them anymore. The fact is the kind of bigotry that black people face in the North is different than the kind of bigotry that black people face in the South, because in the North they pretend not to be racist, but they're still quite bigoted. And in the South, they don't pretend not to be racist. as the this is it's a gloss. It's a simple saying, but it's generally true. In the South, the white people don't care if you live near them as long as you don't compete with them in the same jobs. And in the North, they don't mind if you compete with them for the same jobs as long as you don't live with them. And that's the difference in the kind of like substantive experience post the Great Migration, when black people realized they could get away from Jim Crow by going north, and we started seeing the Ku Klux Klan in Minnesota for the first time. All these people in the north said, well, we're not racist, and then there were black people and suddenly they're racist, right? But those are substantively different experiences, and I think neither of those experiences has been represented at the level of the presidency. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I think those are reasonable things to point out, and I think it's important that we recognize that there are different ethnicities and different ethnic experiences that come from being an African American that have not had representation and probably are a long way away from being properly represented.
Well stated. Although if I could get a word in, first of all, thank you for coming into the room and bringing up a subject that we all found so provocative. So you were a little bit on the hot seat. So thank you for withstanding that. But I don't know. You know, he just did a good summary of what he thinks was underlying your position. I'm not sure we have gotten from you in your own word. We know how you feel, but like the underlying why or you know, the what's in it for me or what's in it for black people to have this position you have of, I don't know how I would define it, like a small tent of what it's possible for a black person to be, as opposed to a larger tent. That's still unanswered to me, you know, despite the lovely thing that he said. So, do you have anything to say about that? Like, yeah, why does it serve your cause or the cause of black people or whatever cause interests you to make that distinction?
No, I'm good on the conversation. Thank you, though.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
All right.
Can I ask you a question? On the same topic, do you think Kamala Harris is qualified to be president?
Sure.
Fantastic.
She's better than the other one.
The orange bag of shit.
There you go. I got you some
Don't hold
social
back.
credit.
Let us know how you really feel.
Just being objective.
I mean, if there was another option, but we don't have another option.
Where are you from? Just out of curiosity, Rita Ash. You don't have to go into a lot of details. I'm just curious because some of the things that
I'm from the
stated
States.
seem. What's that?
I'm from the States.
Like which
You
state?
meant which one?
Oh, because you said, where are you from? Because I'm not a foreigner.
Right,
Penguin's right. You're a scumbag, Dr. Sayus. You're the.
I think Ragnar's recruited a new cadre of children to do his dirty work for him.
It's always the same guy.
Ragnar literally sends children into other rooms to harass people.
Has he been around, Ragnar? Has he been around?
No.
That you know of?
I haven't personally encountered him, but I've heard other people say
We're
his
good.
various
We
alternate
don't care
account
about
names.
drama.
No more.
Yeah, no one cares about drama.
I do want to know what state. What state? I didn't hear. Sorry.
Mass.
Oh, Massachusetts. Neat.
Cool. Okay. Nice.
And trust me, there's tons of racism up here.
Yeah.
Sure, the Boston riots. I mean, I'm not super familiar with Massachusetts, but that's what I know about it.
The Red Sox?
So there were
No,
the
back
native.
in the 70s.
There was Native Americans that converted to Christianity, and a generation later, they had a war with a different Native American group. The people of Massachusetts did. So in Boston, they just took the people that were a generation in Native American, put them on a little island in the middle of the winter, and they starved to death.
Wow.
And that is the kind of racism you see in Boston, and I think you still see it today.
Well, that takes the fun out of mess. Yeah.
Bring up the Mont Bailey. I didn't know the details of that until earlier. The conversation.
Yeah, why don't we go over these, Mirko? If you want to put it on you, or someone else wants to go through, but if you go through them, it would be very, very cool.
Cool.
Make sure the camera's on you, though.
Yes. Okay. I'll sit over here. Sorry. Am I there? Kind of. Okay. Let's just go through these real quick, and I picked the wrong spot. I'm sorry, I can't see the screen. I'm the worst. Let's see. Right there. Perfect. I'll go through them quick. I'm probably not going to think of many examples besides the Nike ones that are there. But there is confirmation bias. It's true because I believe it. The tendency to search for, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms one's preconceptions. Like what you think beforehand. Refusing to believe Nike makes mistakes because you love their shoes. It's interesting. Attribution error. If they did it, they caused it. The tendency to overemphasize personal characteristics and ignore situational factors. Saying someone is lazy because they lost a race, ignoring that their Nikes fell apart. Let's see. Substitution error. Accepting an answer to another question. When faced with a difficult question, people often substitute it with a simpler one and answer that question instead. Saying Nike is the best because they have a cool designs when the real question was about quality. False equivalence. Two things that seem the same but aren't. When two things are compared as if they're equal, even though they aren't. Thinking that all Nikes are as good as Air Jordans because Nike makes Air Jordans.
I love how this is shitting on Nike.
It is. Fuck Nike. No, no, we love Nike. There, we love like Mr. Calm. We love Nike. Yes.
That's right.
Mountain Bailey.
For those endorsements, huh?
That's true. I know. I actually really, when we're like doing the website, I'm like, should we really be using name brand Nike for this? Okay. Mountain Bailey.
Nike's elite.
Yeah. Invisibly going from an indefensible to a more agreeable position. A debate tactic where somebody defends a difficult to defend position, but then retreats to a different, easier to defend idea when challenged. We saw that.
I learned this one today. That was interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I love pointing this one out.
Yeah, this is fun.
I learned this one tonight. It's interesting.
Saying Nike makes the best shoes, then switching that they make the then switching to say that they are more popular when challenged. Okay. Zero-sum thinking. If they win, I lose. The belief that one's gain must come at the cost of another's loss. Thus, no mutual benefit is possible. Thinking if Nike gets better for running, if Nike is better for running, another brand must be worse at hiking. Not necessarily true. Okay, black and white thinking. It's all or nothing. A cognitive error where someone sees a situation as only two categories, good and bad, ignoring any middle ground or spectrum of possibilities. Believing Nike shoes are either the best ever or completely worthless, with no middle ground. Gish gallop, making many arguments to run away. A debate tactic where one overwhelms an opponent with rapid series of arguments, without regard for their accuracy or strength, making it difficult to refute each one. Bombarding somebody with countless reasons why Nike is superior to distract them from the sweatshops. Okay. Correlation and causation. One followed the other, so one caused the other. Assuming that because you can come up with the story about how things are caused, one caused the other, that it does. Thinking winners wear Nike, so Nike must make you the fastest. Even though they might just have like a weird promotional sponsorship or something like that. Something completely unrelated. Argument from incredulity. I can barely say that word. Incredulity. Yeah, there we go. I can't imagine it, so it can't be true. Concluding something must be false because it's difficult to understand or believe. Nike sweatshops because you can't believe a big brand would do that, even though they have. So that's how I see this one a lot, definitely. Of people going like, "What? No, that stat can't be right. It must be completely false. We have to ignore it now." Okay, sunk costs. I've invested too much to quit now. Continuing a behavior due to previously invested resources, time, money, effort, even though it's not the best choice. Continuing to buy Nikes despite poor arch support because you own so much Nike apparel. This one you see sunk costs a lot with wars or like maybe even buildings, like where they build buildings so big and then they go like halfway through, like they can't really, they just give up on constructing it, and it's like, oh no. I've seen that a little bit.
Bad relationships.
Oh yeah, marriages. There we go. That would also be considered a personal attack. Personal attacks. Attacking the person, not the argument. Attacking an opponent's character or traits instead of engaging with their argument. Calling Converse owners sheep instead of discussing Nike versus Converse. Yeah. A lot of arguments often devolve into personal attacks when facts or stats can't be cited.
Is that the same as ad hominem?
Yes, absolutely the same, pretty much. As far as I know. Yes. False dichotomy, which is similar to false dilemma we've learned tonight. It's either this or that, no other options. Presenting options in one small domain as the only possibilities when there are more domains that exist. You must choose Nike or settle for Converse, ignoring Doc Martens. This is a lot like the train dilemma, where you have like the train tracks, and you have to choose which people on the train tracks the train runs over, the top rail or the bottom rail, except for ignoring the fact that you can just hit the brakes and stop the fucking train, or you can have somebody else untie the people, or some other solution to the problem. Learned helplessness. Nothing I do makes a difference. It never has. A mental state where repeated failures lead to the belief that one cannot change their situation. Choosing to only buy Nike because every time you buy a specialty shoe, it doesn't help. So this one is the example we use a lot is the elephant, who is a baby elephant on a stake, like tied to like a railing or something like that, who doesn't realize that once he's a giant adult elephant, he can easily break the rope and escape. He doesn't even try because he tried so hard as a baby elephant to do that. It's like dogs with shock collars and the little boundaries. They learn to never try and leave the yard even though you've taken off the shock collar. Yeah.
Well, I only buy Skechers because Nike's are too small.
I know, the Nike thing is insane. Okay, here we go. Moving goalposts. Changing the criteria as soon as they're met. Demanding more or different evidence after the initial criteria has been met. Making it impossible to satisfy the new demands. After agreeing that Nike's shoes are durable, insisting that they must also be the cheapest to be considered good is an example of moving the goalpost. Hasty generalization, assuming that what's true for a few is true for all. Drawing a conclusion about an entire group based on a small, underrepresentative sample. Deciding that all Nike shoes are good quality because you have had one good pair that lasted a while. So we see this one a lot nowadays with migrant issues of people just going like, well, I saw on the news that there was a crime, so that must mean that the whole group is bad. And it's like, no, that is racist, but also a hasty generalization.
That's like a corollary of inductive reasoning also, right? Like just kind of like the whole mindset of like, I see this one simple example, so I'm going to expand it.
Yeah.
And apply
It's
it
also
to a large
confirmation
scale.
bias.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the hasty generalization relies on creating groups in your mind and then not properly sampling those groups, but rather relying on usually a caricature of that group. And people are very hasty to generalize because, well, the more you can make someone afraid of a group, the more hasty they are to generalize because it's a life or death situation. So as long as you can put people in a state of fear, they're going to make snap decisions and based on whatever caricature you can feed them.
Sampling of a group gets dangerous too, though, right? Like sampling because it's not a true generalization. Like, yeah, you can the central limit theory. You can kind of figure things out. You can get your variance and your different your variation, standard deviation from a sample size.
There's a paradox called the Simpson-Ewell paradox, and what that means, what it does is you can take an average. Oh shit! You can take an average across years, and you can see that one thing is better on average across all the years, but when you look at each individual year, the other thing was better in each year. And that's because sometimes you could have, for example, let's say that you're looking at number of shoplifting times that you've had shoplifting in a city, okay? You can have the average number of shoplifting cases be less in 3 different California cities. But when you take it as an overall percentage of shoplifting, it's a lot more. Then you would start thinking that there's more shoplifting in California without taking into account that there's also more not shoplifting in California.
Pretty interesting.
So
what's that called again? Simpson.
So the Simpson-Ewell paradox. When you look at like, are women admitted to engineering schools? Well, the percentage of women admitted to engineering schools is very, very low. So you would think that they're being discriminated against, except, in fact, as a proportion, the amount of women admitted to engineering schools is more than men. It's just that very, very few women are applying. So the systemic problem is somewhere outside of the acceptance process.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm tracking.
Cool, that was the last one, actually. So.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, I use that time to update the
you
table.
added
So we now have
cool.
gambler's fallacy, straw man, and red herring.
Yeah.
And appeal to unjustifiable authority. Cool. I will put these in the slides. Okay, I will just start reading them.
Trump? Appeal to unjustifiable authority.
So I work in IT. Red herring is a big one for me. Like just going down the wrong trail, or looking at the wrong piece of evidence, well, not the wrong piece of evidence, but drawing the wrong conclusion from a single piece of evidence.
So that's a hasty generalization, right? And then a red herring is, let's say that I want to distract you from the issue we're talking about. So, for example, what was Donald Trump questioned about before he said they're eating the cats and dogs. No one knows. No
January
one
6th.
knows. Oh, January. Yeah, there you go. He wanted to distract from January 6th. So he said they're eating the cats and dogs.
Right, that's the
And
right
so
thing.
he knew the headline had to be anything but January 6th. So he red herringed his way out of it.
And when he said cats and dogs, that was appeal to unjustifiable authority for his followers.
Because he was saying, well, the interview said that.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to start reading these, I guess. Appeal to unjustifiable authority. Someone in... Oh, sorry. I'm going to cheat. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Except for now I can barely read it. Yeah, that was a bad idea. Okay, cool. Perfect. Someone in power said it, so it must be true. Believing Nike shoes are the best because famous athletes have endorsed them, even though they... Let's see.
Yeah, just double click on the bar on the...
Okay.
There you go.
Even though they have no expertise in shoe quality. Cool. Okay. Appeal to authority is fallacy when those who do not provide any justification to support their argument. When those who use it do not provide any... Yeah, sorry. I butchered that.
The election was rigged.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Gambler's fallacy. Past outcomes affect future probability. Believing that because the last 5 Nike shoes released had quality issues, the next release is guaranteed to be better. Yep. Gambler's fallacy is a cognitive bias that occurs when somebody believes that the probability of an event changes after a series of outcomes. Like if you're gambling and go like, well, it hit it hit 8 6 times, so that means the next one has to be a 7.
Isn't that also like political pollster?
No, it's
Oh.
specific to statistical.
Right, it's specific to random events and believing that random events are cause one another when they do not.
Oh, random. I thought you said statistical events.
I read a good book on that.
No,
a
that's
few years
random.
ago.
I might have said statistical, but that's just my mumble mouth, probably. Okay, strawman. Attacking an exaggerated representation or a mispresented version of an argument.
Misrepresented.
Eating cats and dogs.
Yeah. When somebody...
Would an example... I'm sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Would an example of that be when a voice of a person said, oh, so we should just let all the criminals out?
Yeah.
Yes.
When somebody criticizes...
whenever you take...
No.
Go ahead.
Sorry, when somebody criticizes Nike's labor practices by responding, by saying foreign Nike workers should lose their jobs then? Sorry. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. And then the next one is misrepresenting an opponent's argument, often by exaggerating or simplifying it. When attacking the misrepresentation rather than the actual argument. Sorry.
like
For some
taking
reason,
every
I can read
argument
it in the slide form, but this way it just kills my
I
dumb
love
brain.
when people take every argument to either rape or Nazis.
Well, I think that...
I think that's the first time
both of those
tonight,
are
which
bad
is
things.
shocking.
I think that I think both Nazis and rape are a bad thing. I'm going out on a limb.
Well, no one's
So I'm willing to make that.
Just,
Yeah.
people
Shocking.
tend to make the false equivalency. Of
Are you
like,
defending Nazis or rape? Is this why you keep encountering that?
Nope. I sure
Okay,
am
good
not.
to know. Yeah, I think I'm also against gulags, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely not advocating.
Yeah, but
for
no
it.
one ever accuses me of defending Nazis or rape. It's weird.
No, I'm not. had
That's
that
just
problem
a
either.
But I know why they keep
herring.
accusing me of defending gulags.
Which are just prisons.
Okay, red herring, which is what just happened. Distracting with an irrelevant point. When questioned about Nike's use of sweatshops, saying that Nike sponsors charitable sport programs. Okay. Introducing an irrelevant topic to divert attention away from the original issue, often to avoid addressing a challenging question or point. Nice.
It's actually misunderstood that one, red herring. Like, in my line of work, we always say that when someone is, they see something and they think this is the problem, and they start going down this path and say that's a red herring.
So in rhetoric or telling, there's a distinction. When you're making the rhetorical fallacy of a red herring, you're distracting from an argument with an irrelevant issue. A gish gallop is an example of just a series of red herrings. When you're talking about storytelling, like in a murder mystery, a red herring is a setup where they make you think it's something else so that you can be like surprised when the butler did it. Yes. And so this is what they're talking about when you're at work and they're like, oh, that was a red herring. What they mean is that was a distraction from the real issue at hand that I wanted to solve. It matches both definitions, but they mean it in this sort of like murder mystery way.
That's right. Different context. I get it. Gotcha.
It's like you're an IT, right? So it's like somebody, like you're trying to justify why buy CrowdStrike over Symantec, and somebody comes out and says, well, CrowdStrike just had a hack, right? It has nothing to do with the actual conversation. They're trying to distract you from having that conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, to this point, it's like well, I guess from some point it's intentional. What the context I was taking it in is someone is working on an issue. They're trying to solve a problem, right? And they see this piece of evidence, and it's like, oh, well, this is the problem. We need to start going down this path or this troubleshooting, the whole thought process. Then come to look, come to find out that was a red herring. Like that wasn't really what the issue was, but it distracted you from the real issue.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I had a colleague I just helped today. He bought a 4090 and he couldn't get the damn thing to post. And he was going through, like, maybe it's the motherboard, I don't know, something wrong. I mean, it goes back to the old 1060 that was in there and it's fine. And, so he's running down all these red herrings. Like, he's going to swap out the dang motherboard like we've all done, right? Then I explained to him, dude, this thing has a TDP of like at least 450 watts. He was taking the power cable off of the power supply, and he was taking the pigtails that come off of it to put it into the power that goes into the video card. So that line can only hold 150 watts. So he's trying to run his 450 watt power card with one, because it has multiple like Molex connectors at the end, so it can technically plug into the card, right? So anyway, that was a red herring he was running down in your sense. And in your sense, little maniac, it was much more in the rhetorical sense, where they're trying to distract you to get you to make a decision.
Mm-hmm. Correct. By the way, herring tastes really good too.
I don't eat animals.
Oh, well, that makes one of us. So I love this room, man. I learn so much, man. Like each time I come in here, just the discussion and back and forth.
Yeah.
I was telling I had a great time on Wednesday. Like 3 people came to class, so we just went to lunch instead. Mm-hmm. And I was having these carnitas and telling them that, I'm a vegetarian.
So you ate carnitas until I'm vegetarian?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry.
And then they were talking about anime, and I told them I don't like anime. I've only seen like 50 shows.
Nice.
What do you deal with like freshmen? Are you doctoral students or upper?
So I've got a class of sophomores, a class of seniors, and I work with 5 or 6 doctoral students. 2 of them from my university and others that have found me because of my expertise.
Nice.
Yeah, and not really. I really wish there were more people who knew what I knew, so I didn't have to take on all the. And I also do too many papers. I review way too many papers, but I'm like the only person. So
that's what we call a humble brag.
That's not humble. No, I'm the fucking expert on this earth.
That's like a brag.
Yeah.
I mean, your level of patience, I would assume that it was more like, senior, junior, or whatever, but the fact you're dealing with freshmen and you're as patient as you are is impressive.
I really like where I work. the folks that are there, none of them are Brittany in a sorority who is showing up hungover. Chad, who was up all night and still reeks of weed. No one like that comes to my classes. Yeah, it's good folks who are trying to make a better life for themselves, and it makes me really happy to be able to work there.
Nice.
No Heathers.
Yeah, no offense to you if your name's Chad or Brittany or whatever, but
I was
definitely
Chad.
offense to you if you show up to my class hungover. Fuck you. Stay home.
Let me change my name to Chip.
What the hell
I
am
always
I
wanted to
uploading
Chip.
right now? What the fuck?
You should be a Chip.
I was a Chad in college. I was hungover Chad in college.
I'm gonna be a
or-
Chip Diggler.
Something else.
Yeah, chips in California are the highway patrol. So you might not want to.
Yeah, Chips. Yeah, I used to watch that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that show.
Yeah. Speaking
Very cool.
of chips, I got another useless machine for my kitchen. I'm gonna order an ice cream maker.
Egg maker?
The creamies from Ninja.
Nice.
I'll let you know how it is. But
Yeah.
yeah, because apparently you can turn anything in ice cream, which is I just
You
assumed
sound
it
much
was
better this week.
What?
I say you sound better. Like last week, you
I was
sounded
coughing.
rough, man, with the
Yeah,
cough.
yeah. I muted everything, and it still came through, which is like, what the hell settings
have
do I
COVID?
have? No, I don't
Have
know.
we been streaming?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Well,
Was there anything from chat? No, it's great.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mostly just Hollywood and Max Prowse talking around.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So,
No, I
how you
was
guys
watching,
doing?
and then I saw you here, and I'm like, yeah, there's my work there. Screw it, it's fine.
Very good.
Yeah, I thought you guys kicked me earlier.
What?
I didn't see anything. So I know.
No, we didn't kick it.
I was getting a little bit loose, so.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no,
well,
I did cover the chat when you were starting to get a little rough. I'm like,
Yeah, I was getting triggered, man. It was,
That's understandable.
Don't get
It's
triggered,
understandable.
though. It's bad for your health.
I know. I always fall into it.
Hollywood.
I hear shit.
You gotta know that you're a better person than people who are being intentionally intellectually dishonest. You know that.
Tongue, bro.
You know that, and now what you're doing is you're helping them become more honest if they choose to be. There's no reason to be angry because there's nothing of any value this person can say as long as they're continuing to be dishonest.
You're right. I get caught up in the moment. That's
Oh,
my
I get it.
issue.
Oh, I get it. I've done this thousands of hours. I get it. Yeah. It's part of the training, right? It's part of learning how to de-radicalize. Look at Noah. Noah's very good, right? He's very good at taking slings and standing, not his ground, right? Because he gish gallops and mountain Baileys, but he's very good at leaving an olive branch and acting calm and handing, right? So we need to emulate that if we're going to battle that, because he's clearly pushing rhetoric that's radicalizing. So we have to be at that same level if we're going to win.
Absolutely.
He's good at temperament. He's got a really good temperament.
That's right. Yeah, and it takes practice. I mean, I think it's a great place to practice. So.
What is that thing? What amygdala hijack? That thing that happens in your mind, like
Yeah.
you kind of get to a place where you're not thinking rationally, right?
All right, hey, let's close it. I'm gonna have Mr. Combs come and say hi.
Oh yeah, okay. Let me
That's
turn on
okay.
everything. Good night, stream.
Good
See you guys tomorrow at 9, hopefully, and